good old Rob to talk you through all this. Count on me, you're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me, you're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this. Two. Two. Hello. Check 2. Hello, chat. Bon weekend, or it's not the weekend. It's Monday. Bon lundi. But I hope you had un bon weekend. J'espère que vous avez passé un bon weekend. En français, on dit ça comme ça. I got some subs already. Blurg. Thanks for the 3 months, tier 1. Thank you, Blurg. Can I just call you Blurp? May I call you Blurp? Thank you for that. Thank you, Diego, for 44 months of Prime and all the support over the years. Thank you, Diego. And thank you, Quaker Oat Sky. 34 months of tier 1 from Quaker Oat Sky. Very close to the 36-month, 3-year TRRS Pearl sub badge. Very cool. Thank you to all 3 of you for the subs. What's the one after Pearl? I don't know. I don't know yet. Honestly, I was thinking of just skipping the next one and making the 5-year. Doing something for the 5. Because some people are already getting close to the 48. There's some people already getting close to the 48 months, which is crazy to me. It's crazy that, like, it wasn't the first episode of this show, but the launch of TRRS as we know it was the 2020 election. I'd gotten a few streams in before that just to kind of like get used to it. Then there was the 2020 election, and then I was off and running, doing the show every week. And of course, I started off doing 3 shows per week, bumped it up to 5, and now right now in the summer hours, it's hovering around between 3 and 5. Excuse me. And now we're coming up on another freaking election, and we've been here each week, every single week, for 4 goddamn years. We have been here, and that is wild to me, in all honesty. The 4 years Emerald Green badge. It's just like because it's become a meme, Diego. I want to like keep up the innuendo thing, but it doesn't go much better than Pearl though for that. And like I don't want to have a poo badge. That's not a good celebration. That's a huge downgrade going from Pearl to like brown. Like no. That should be like a punishment. That should be a punishment badge. I'll work on it, okay? Maybe something kind of like, okay, here we go. It could be some kind of like pearl gold combination. That could be kind of nice. I think I could work with that. I think I could do something with that. A little pearl gold combination for the 4-year. That might work. A combination. That's right. Absolutely. So, as you can see by my lighting, it's a gray rainy day here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada today. How about you, chat? Look out the window. Tell me what's going on outside the window. I want to hear about it. There was a crazy moon last night. I don't know if that was like just where I was, but like the moon was crazy last night. It was all yellow. It was one of those yellow moons last night. Did anyone else notice that? And it was funny because I was with my son and I was like, "Hey, look, buddy! Look at the moon. It's all yellow. And it's like this big, shiny yellow moon." And I thought he would find it cool, and he was just like, "Are we gonna die? Are we gonna die?" And I was like, "No, we're not gonna die. It's just." Like, the moon's yellow. It happens sometimes. It's okay. He viewed it as some kind of, like, apocalyptic sign or something like that. It was not the reaction... Yeah, or omen. Portents. That was not the reaction that I was really thinking I was going to get there. Like in the movie Signs. Well, not really like that because those were crop circles. Your son is a medieval villager. I guess he kind of is. Yeah. What if he was right? Maybe he was. Maybe he was. There has been some apocalyptic signs lately. You know, someone that I know and I've been talking to sent me some images from her balcony the other day when this like crazy cloud moved into Toronto, and it looked exactly like the Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds. You know, I was like, man, I hope that's not a War of the Worlds cloud. It's HARP, yeah, probably some kind of cloud seeding thing. Is that what that is? My lord, we've upset the natural order. God save the king. Looked exactly like a bust of Lenin hanging over Montreal. If only it was. If only it was just like that. If only Lenin could bust over us. Come on. Come on now. Let's keep it clean here, okay? Let's keep it clean, please. We don't all desire that, no. I mean, I love the guy. I love reading his books and his work. Love his contribution to humanity, to history, to the progressive forces of history. I think that would be taking it a little far, though. I don't know. I think that would be taking it a little far. There are decades when edging happens, and there are weeks when gooning happens. We don't need to do this again, honestly. We don't. Like really, though. Like, really. We really don't need to do it. Okay? We didn't get that out of our system. We had a good, long session. Now it sounds like that's what I'm talking about. Now it sounds like I'm doing that. We don't need to go down this path, chat. It's fucking Monday. It's Monday. It's barely past noon here. We don't need to be doing this. The thing is, it goes back into their system every 3 hours. Jeez. I haven't had enough coffee for this shit yet either. I'm hoping this DC gets my brain juices pumping. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, chat. I hope you had both IDP had bon weekends all second week of a first grade in a Spanish immersion school, and it's a struggle. I hope things are well for all. It's good that you're learning, though. Thanks, Up the Reds. Thanks for the update. It's good that you're learning. I imagine that it is a struggle. I don't know what basis it is that you're starting from, but I imagine that is a struggle. I need to learn how to speak in Spanish. Oh, my kid is learning. Okay. Not me. Okay, I see. I see. Well, it's good that somebody's learning. Okay? That's all. Would Lennon be a Diet Coke enjoyer? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, he would. You get the little hit of caffeine. It's a nice crisp taste. It's not sweet. It doesn't taste sweet. It's just got a refreshing little bite. Who wouldn't like it? You know? You could name any historical figure. And I think if they had an ice cold can of Diet Coke, they would be like, what is the future? Oh my God, we've some kind of utopian future. If Lenin had Diet Coke, he was like, we must have succeeded in installing global revolution and global communism, because that's only the kind of beverage that would come around in like a perfect society. A perfect utopian society. What about Coke Zero? I think people know my feelings about Coke Zero, okay? If you like it, nothing against you. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you enjoy it. To me, it's too sweet. I like Diet Coke because it's not sweet. It's not sweet. It's like Coke flavored fizzy water with caffeine in it. That's what Diet Coke is to me. Coke Zero just tastes like Coke, but with no sugar. And it doesn't really taste the same also at the same time. So if I wanted that Coke flavor, I would probably just have a regular Coke. I was not aware of your Coke Zero stance. Well, I'm sorry if it's offensive. I'm sorry if it's alienating to anybody. Don't like too sweet, then you must not be a Dr. Pepper fan. Well, I like Diet Dr. Pepper, which is the same thing. I like Dr. Pepper. I do like Dr. Pepper. I just prefer Diet Dr. Pepper. Really alienating his audience with these Coke Zero takes. Well, I'm sorry, okay? This is how I feel about it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that for you. Huh? Hello, first time chatter. Prof. Shaminator. Lennon, a thumbs up guy. Is that like a beverage that I don't know about? Welcome to first time chatter, Prof. Shaminator, though. Happy to have you here. Thumbs up. Oh, wow. Thumbs Up is a brand of cola. It was introduced in 1977 to offset the withdrawal of the Coca-Cola company from India. The brand was later bought by Coca-Cola, who relaunched it in order to compete against Pepsi to capture the market. So it's like anti-colonial Coke. I like that, actually. I think that's a good... I like that. I think he would be. I bet Rob thinks racist things about Diet Mountain Dew. I like Diet Mountain Dew. I don't get a chance to drink it very often. I would probably purchase it more if it was available to me. You know? I really would purchase it, and sometimes if it was available to me. Here's the thing. I think I've gone over this before. I don't think there's the same rule in America, but in Canada, I don't think Mountain Dew has caffeine in it. Like, someone might want to fact check me on that. I think the rule is, in Canada, it's only brown sodas that have caffeine, unless it's an energy drink that's like somehow like there's an exception. There's an energy drink exception. But I don't believe a Mountain Dew in Canada has caffeine in it. It does have caffeine now since 2012. Okay, then. All right. I see. Anyway, I probably would drink Diet Mountain Dew if it was more of an option for me, but it's really not. I never see it. Caffeine use extended despite health warnings. Health Canada extended the use of caffeine to non-cola soft drinks last year, even as it was being warned that children are already consuming too much of the stimulant. I mean, that's... I mean, but I think... Can't we have caffeinated non-cola beverages and just caffeine-free versions? Like, that's... The parents have to do their jobs there. I agree. Kids should not be sucking down caffeinated beverages. Absolutely agree. That is not healthy. It's not good. I mean, if I gave my kid a bunch of caffeine, like, Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine what that would look like. I really don't even know what that would look like. So I agree. Little kids should not be drinking caffeinated beverages. But aren't we adults here? Aren't we all adults? Can't we decide? You know? We can choose. If we absolutely have to give our children Mountain Dew, which probably we shouldn't be doing anyways. But if we absolutely have to, we should have just a caffeine-free version and a version with caffeine. Like, what's the problem with that? What's the problem? I had tons of caffeinated beverages as a kid, and I'm fine. All our brains are working really good now that we're older, and nothing bad happened to us. I know my brain is in tip-top shape. It's tippy-top shape. My brain. I'm doing very well. Okay? Very mentally healthy. Right now and always. The heart palpitations just keep me focused. Good. I love that for you, Brandon. I had a lot to it. It literally stunted my growth. Yeah, it's probably not good. Like, really, realistically. Like, there's a reason we don't let little kids have alcohol, and we don't want little kids blasting cigs either. You know. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
My 6-year-old boy Chugly loves Mountain Dew, and all he does is hit dingers at T-ball.
Thank you, Old Dutch, for the 41 months tier 2 and for all the support. Listen, if Chugly likes that and that's working for him and that's your decision as a parent, go for it. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you how to be a parent. You know? Some kids have a hard time at sports, and maybe we should just give them performance-enhancing drugs. And it like what? It's good. You're against boosting confidence for little kids? Oh, now it's wrong to boost the confidence of a little kid by injecting them or giving them beverages with performance enhancers in them. Chugly just loves the long ball. Exactly. Kids are a prime unseized market for coffee and cigarettes, for sure. Absolutely. Like, a lot of the time my kid wakes up before me and he watches a bit of TV or whatever. It would be really funny to just, like, walk in the morning to see him, like, contemplatively, like just blasting cigs. I love saying blasting cigs. I just think it's always funny. It's always funny to say that, those combination of words. I'm doping this little guy all the way to the bank. Big leagues. Yeah. The children get bored the same as the rest of us. Why begrudge them bits of anti-boredom substances like caffeine? Exactly. Why not extend that to other things? You know? Smoking darts. Ripping darts. Firing up a heater. On the balcony with his coffee and cigarette. Yeah, absolutely. Just like thinking about life. When I'm president, every kid will get a daily cocaine allotment. It turns bad feelings into good feelings, okay? Helps them focus, helps them study. What's not to like? What's not to like about that? In fact, just circling back to how this started, put the shit right back in the cans of Coke in the first place. You know? Put it back in the Coke. This one lady with mold on the wall behind her said the kids just need to transition to another sex and they'll be better at sports instantly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was really... So it's very funny that she hasn't tweeted since that time. Like, there's something going on, right, with J.K. Rowling and that whole situation. She's definitely got lawyers being like, please shut the fuck up. Please stop this. Please don't do this. You know, she's just like just sitting there like twitching, like just wishing she had an outlet for her fucked up fixation on trans people, and it's been snatched away from her so cruelly. So cruelly. I mean, it goes like we talked about it like when it was happening, but it just goes back to this idea that like men are just inherently going to be better at anything. Like I was really thinking about like, if I signed up, if I like, oh, I'm transitioning, apparently that's all you have to do. And then you can just sign up for like Olympic women's boxing and you can just go in and just carve a path right through to the gold medal. I'm just thinking about sometimes like how badly I would get my ass handed to me in that situation instantly. You know? I would get my ass handed to me just instantaneously. Like the exact opposite of what happened in that fight where the Italian fighter got like punched twice and she was like, no. Just gave up. Which was like, if I was an Olympic boxer, I would simply finish my boxing match, but it would be the opposite though. It would be the opposite. Whoever I got in the ring with immediately just beat the shit out of me. Like, okay, I'm done. All right, I'm sorry. Billionaire living in a moldy castle has a bad brain. These two things surely are exclusive of each other. I really do want to believe the J.K. Rowling black mold theory. Like, I want that to be true just as much as I want anything. You know? I really want it to be true. People were saying it's like wallpaper. There's something so like poetic about that, though. If you can see this progression of the black mold slowly creeping up the walls with her like dwindling sanity and her fixation on these weird issues, you know? This absolute fixation on like how people just live their lives and the people's genitals, like the various genitals of all kinds of different people and what's going on with that. What kind of genitals does this person have? What does this person have? Apparently, like as what these TERFs have been telling us, you can actually have female genitalia and still be a man, according to these people. But even just a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, they were saying the exact opposite. That's the thing that determines. That's the thing that determines what gender you are. But apparently that's not the case. Always loved the billionaires that could have just fucked off with a cartoon bag of cash, but instead become the dumbest people on the internet. Yeah, I mean, Elon is an example of that. Elon is an example, and J.K. Rowling is an ultimate example. She would be one of the most beloved children's authors if she just fucked off and just lived in her castle, and maybe tweeted about some like bland progressive causes every now and then. She would be like almost universally beloved. And she's completely just destroyed her entire, like, credibility. Bill Ackman is another example, yeah. It's strange, isn't it? Like, I know I have brain worms, and online has given me bad brain worms. Like, I get that. I accept that. I feel like when you're a billionaire, though, you should be above that. You know what I mean? We have the good brain worms. She's just transitioned her Twitter account and is tweeting as some dude named Robert Galbraith to 4 people. Like, she probably is. Like, She's probably in all the most niche like turf group chats and like Facebook groups and like, what is that, Mumsnet? That became a big hive of like of turf shit. I'm positive she's in there. That's how she's getting her fix. Even if she can't use the JK account on Twitter, that's how she gets her fix. She's knee deep in all that shit, neck deep even. The thing is that rich people usually try to avoid diseases of the poor, online brainworms. I know, they just can't help themselves. They can't help themselves because like they can't buy like respect. Like they need the likes and retweets as much as anyone. And then when people don't give it to them, or when people start being mean to them, they're like, what? What is this? I'm used to having everyone around me just be like, oh, so yes, sir. Oh, please, sir. Please. Yes. Whatever you say, sir. And they're just used to this. They go through their whole lives with everyone just like fucking, you know, bending over backwards to fulfill their every whim and make them happy. And then all of a sudden they're logging on to online and they're expecting the same kind of treatment. And there's just these hordes of people like me and you being like, fuck you. You know, it's like, and they can't wrap their minds around it. Like you can really, with the Elon thing, with the Elon thing, like you can really trace it back, even though Elon's always been that way, but it was kind of disguised. Like he did a pretty good job keeping all that reactionary apartheid shit under the surface, right? But I really remember when Trump was elected, and a lot of people were freaking out about Trump being elected and Trump's like racist rhetoric, his anti-immigrant rhetoric and all this stuff. And there was this big thing of like, don't normalize this. And Elon Musk just like offered to join his like business council or something like that. And people really freaked out at him and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, don't work with this guy. And that was the moment. That was the first time I think people really started to criticize him. And they can't, it activates something inside them when they can start getting criticized. You know? It activates something. And then they just continue down this path. And then like 8 years later, he's there posting about like Nazi race science every single day. And also freaking out about trans people, and also freaking out about the woke mind virus. That's it. People can't possibly like not like me for valid reasons. It must be the woke mind virus. That's what it is. Now I have to make it my whole life's purpose, even though I'm the CEO of like a bunch of successful companies, and I could have just like done that and probably maintained this status of being like this prominent, important person. But now, because I'm fixated on this idea that there must be some reason that people don't like me and they're being mean to me. It must be the woke mind virus. Now I have to devote my whole life to doing that. And they're like, sir, can you come to this board meeting for like this spaceship company that you own? He's like, no, I'm busy. This is more important. It's more important to deal with the woke mind virus. And now he's out there doing Nazi race science. And again, I believe that's always who he was. He always had that. He's the apartheid guy, you know? That's what he is. But it was very carefully curated, and it was kept under the surface. And it's just come out more and more and more. And when he did the whole thing with the submarine, remember? We'll build a submarine to rescue these kids. Blurp. Thanks for the 420. That's the weed number.
Trans rights.
Thank you, Blurp. Hello, Crackety Kraken. How's it going? Someone yesterday on Twitter went, Elon is dazed from posting true Nazi content. I almost went, Musk literally tweeted his support for Jewish white replacement theory in November last year, but I don't feel like being a downer. Yeah, he's already doing that. Like, he is already doing that. this whole obsession with like immigrants like coming in illegally when he was like a illegal immigrant himself. But poor immigrants coming in illegally. That's the big difference. Isn't there a clip of Elon saying, "Go fuck yourselves" to advertisers? Yeah, and then it's a big mystery why they don't want to advertise there. It's a big mystery. It's a big conspiracy. It's a woke conspiracy. Thanks again, Blurp, for the tip. And once again, folks, I'm going to be going pretty hard on this for the foreseeable future. I hope you don't mind. But if you can, these tips, very, very valuable. Very, very valuable. I really appreciate everyone that supports this program. You can also subscribe and make the little number go up. That's always very helpful, trying to get the daily sub goal each and every day. But the tips, folks, the tips. Very, very helpful right now. So if you enjoy this program, you like tuning in for this kind of discourse or this kind of commentary, whatever it is, please subscribe or send a tip. Those tips go right into my PayPal, and it's really, really helpful. He's been doing that for like 2 years. Birth rate obsession, anti-immigrant stuff, agreeing with Nazis, doing 1350 charts. I know. It's been like, it's not new. It's not this new thing. The birth rate obsession is a big tell. Like, if you're obsessed, and like, whose birth rates are you obsessed with? If you're really obsessed with this idea of that, then like, there's a real reason for that. It's not like he's saying everyone in the world needs to have more kids. He's saying specific people. You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this. Gotta file a RICO case against the guys I explicitly hated for months. No, crackety cracken. It should be illegal to not advertise on Twitter. They've decided that, like, with the changes that he's made and the kind of viewpoints and opinions that he's prioritized, that they don't want to advertise on the website, and that's illegal. It's illegal for them not to give him money. Like, it says more than you can possibly say about like how these people think. You should be legally entitled to give me money to advertise on my website while I do Nazi race science. Diego, thank you for gifting a sub to Havana Syndrome Patient. Thank you for that. It is I've been murdered shit. That's true. I should make it illegal for people not to subscribe to this channel. What if I did that? What if it was illegal? What if every time the sub goal didn't get filled up, I like somehow there was some kind of legal consequence? Risk Inverse, thank you so much for the $15.
When the triangle calls, you pick up the phone.
Risk Inverse, you've been so supportive like over the last couple of months / years, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for that. I'm on board. Yeah, this is what I mean. I think when the sub goal doesn't get met, or like whatever, what a tip goal, like whatever it is, we can come into some kind of conclusion on that. I think there should be some kind of like legal repercussion against you, chat. I'm going to look into this. I'm going to speak to a lawyer about this, about making this happen. Make it illegal to non-subscribe. That's just the BBC license fee that's built into the cost of every TV. Yeah, that would be a good way of doing it. Every computer, every phone, that you purchase, I just get a percentage of that. I get a laugh out of the many, gee, I wonder why companies don't want to advertise on Twitter content, and the accompanying tweets where racists just go berserk and they're blatant bigotry. Yeah, no, I know. It's insane. No more Mr. Nice Rob. I mean, all the viral tweets, and this is not just exclusive to Twitter, but this is like becoming pervasive on social media, especially when it comes to Canada. Just like images and videos of brown people existing, and it's like sometimes with no commentary. Well, it's like a welcome to Canada, and you just have like a clip of like a fucking Walmart, and there's brown people in there, and that's all it is. And then you have dozens of blue check responses being like, we need to take our country back, kind of thing. No, it's crazy that people aren't. It's crazy that like Coke and Pepsi and Disney and all these like big, huge brands are just lining up to have ads under those tweets. It's just a mystery. To be clear, I don't think advertisers give a shit about racism if it wasn't actually bad for business. Yeah, but it is though. You're exactly right, and I agree, Joe. This is what capitalism is, right? It's about the profit motive, and they've made a decision, a like financial decision about whether it's cost effective to advertise around this kind of content, and what the return's going to be versus not doing that. And they've made a business decision to not do so. Twitter actually encourages this kind of content now through monetization. For sure, yeah. Once you have a monetized account, just trying to go viral as much as possible with whatever you can like get people to click on. And remember when like those initial accounts got like, whoa, I got 5K, I got 25K, I got 50K. I wonder if they're getting those monthly. Somehow I doubt it. It was really just like bribing people. Some of the worst people, the Ian Miles Chongs and the Krasensteins and like whoever else. Whoa, I got like a 30K Twitter payout. It's literally just bribing people to like advertise the fact that if you sign up, you're going to get this big reward, and no one's getting that. People are getting pennies, I'm sure. The vast majority of like blue check accounts, even ones that do this kind of like clickbait kind of content stuff. Like white supremacy is a bad business choice because most of the world isn't white, despite what the losers and haters might want. Yeah, and every single like Disney show or film that doesn't have just like an entirely white cast gets called like woke and gets called becomes inherently political just to like not even have that. Here we got Tim Pool's payouts here. But I can see him getting a decent paycheck though, because he is one of the more prominent like right-wing commentators. As much as I think that's embarrassing, because I think he's a fucking dummy who's not really entertaining. Like that's every time Tim Pool comes up, that's my main kind of thing here. Like I just watch it and I go, what is the appeal here? Like why are people watching this? Why is he getting all these views? He's probably like this is just Twitter. He's probably massive on YouTube. Like he's probably getting massive payouts from YouTube. And I watch it and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like you can see if a right-wing guy, like Rush Limbaugh, for example, okay? I think Rush Limbaugh is like a monster. An awful, awful man who's literally had a significantly negative impact on society as a whole. But you can watch Rush Limbaugh and be like, okay, I get why people tune into this. I don't like it. Or Alex Jones is the even better example. Alex Jones has had a hugely negative impact on society. I watch Alex Jones, I'm like, fuck, I hate this guy, but this is extremely entertaining. I get why people are watching this. I watched Tim Pool and I'm just like, what the fuck? You know? What is this? Why is anyone watching this? It's not funny. It's not entertaining. It's not interesting. It's not insightful. What becomes apparent in very short order about social media of any type is that the dumbest, most worthless people get showered in success, while people with things to say get nothing. Yeah, fucking story of my life. PM Trio. Although I don't get nothing. I'm very fortunate to be able to earn a little bit of a living doing this stuff. But am I at Tim Pool's level? Absolutely not. No, nowhere close. Nowhere close. Should I be? Yes, I think I should be. I think I'm funnier and better and more handsome than Tim Pool. And I have better views and I'm more entertaining and more interesting. I feel 100% confident in that. So yeah, I should be. Yes, I'm jealous. People watch this. This guy sounds like he's jealous of Tim Pool. Yeah, I am. I am. It should be me. It should be me. But you have a sick compound with a skate park. The whole skate park saga is so funny too, about him buying that skate park and all the skaters being like, we don't want you here. Get out of here. You'll get a beanie. I do. I wear a toque sometimes. It's just hot right now. I don't like to wear a toque when it's like warm outside. I bet Rob is also better at skateboarding than Beanie Boy. That I don't. I think I almost called him Skim Pool. I don't know if that's something. I think that's one thing. I think he's better than me at skateboarding. I've never really skateboarded, and I've got issues with my like lower extremities. I don't think I'd be very good at that. So I'll give him that. All right, I will give him that. That's how Skim Milk suffers for his art. He wears a beanie in all weather. Well, that's it. But I guess when he's inside doing a show, it's probably air conditioned. It's probably nice and air conditioned in there, not here. Because this is a real salt of the earth, grab your lunch pail, roll up the sleeves, and get down to business stream. We don't have time for this fancy air conditioning. Didn't he show up to a pool party with his beanie one time? The only time I've ever seen him without the beanie is that time that someone snatched it off him, and he was like, "This is assault." Mr. Tough Guy was like, "You're assaulting me." And I know I've gone on this rant before. We don't need to get too into this, but Tim, it's okay to be bald. You know, it's been about 6 months since the last time I did this bit, but like, it's okay. You don't need to wear a beanie all the time. There's nothing wrong with being bald. There's nothing wrong with being bald. We all know what's going on. You're not like hiding anything. We all know what's happening up there, and there's nothing wrong with it. Just be bald. It's fine. Pool parties, white collar events, some days even sleeps in the beanie. I don't doubt it. I think he probably does, yeah. My favorite was when there was a viral tweet with a community note clarifying that he was bald. Nothing at all wrong with being bald. You know? It's totally fine. It's totally fine to be bald. With all the coke money he has, why is he just not gone to Turkey for some hair operation? I've seen like TikToks about those, and that seems really unpleasant. But it's a good question. They're painful. They look painful. It does not look fun. Like, we got to check in with our men. Obviously, this it's an issue for women's body issues, and the way that women are told to like hate themselves and their bodies and have all these alternatives and things that they can do to correct that. We got to deal with this on the other side of it too, though. Like all our short kings getting like leg extension surgeries and stuff. Like, what are you doing, guys? You know, like breaking their legs and putting leg implants in there. That's not good. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. It's okay. It's okay to be bald. You don't need to fly to Turkey, excuse me, and get like a Turkish hair transplant surgery. Painful Turkish hair transplant surgery. Leg extension is crazy. It is crazy. It's like insane to me. But I will say also, if people do, of any gender, really believe that like some kind of cosmetic surgery is going to improve their quality of life, I don't want to say that it's all bad or cast that a blanket statement about any kind of cosmetic surgery. I don't necessarily believe that, but it's like, we got to find some kind of common ground here, you know? How is Turkish transplant different? I don't know. Is it something about like the legality of it? Is that it? Why is it only Turkey, excuse me. Why is it only there? Is it something about, is like a legal loophole or cheaper? I'm getting the shin stretch surgery. Our short kings are breaking their own legs and extending their legs, folks. It's not good. It's not good. I'm a short king and I fit in all the tiny spots. I love that for you, Plunger Man. I love that for you. Cheaper to get a plane ticket and risk infection than do it domestic. Okay, I get that. That makes sense. On one side, I want to say men deserve body positivity too. On the other hand, the patriarchy, do some of these men need the unearned self-confidence? Well, that's a good question. That's a great question. Like what I was saying, I think it depends on the person. I don't know if people agree with about this, but like I think you can make fun of like a Ben Shapiro for being a little manlet. There's nothing wrong with being a manlet, but I think if you're a manlet and you're a fucking reactionary piece of shit, people should be allowed to make fun of you for it. But I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's like cancelable or what. Because I really don't think there's anything wrong with being that size. I really do not. Or in cops as well. Cops as well. I don't know. Maybe we should just make fun of Ben Shapiro for other things. We're right on the cutting edge here. We're on the razor's edge. We're on the razor's edge of cancellation right now. I'm going to move on. Anyway, I love all the short kings in the community, okay? And the bald kings. One could say you're gooning cancellation. I would say it's more edging, but he had to equalize his voice so he doesn't sound like a chipmunk, so that's something to make fun of him for. I will say this, okay? I think Ben Shapiro with like the stubble, I feel like it's a better look for him. I'll cop to that. You know, I don't love it. I hate to say this. I take no pleasure in reporting this. I do think that's a better look for him. Remember the bagel guy? He got what he earned. IMO. Who's? I don't remember that. I vaguely do. I vaguely do. He did tweak his mic settings, didn't he? I tuned into Hassan reacting to Ben. He sounded very different. Maybe he's been doing like voice training. But like if you're a cishet man doing like gender affirming voice training is obviously okay, but it's only when you're trans or non-binary. That's when it's like the greatest problem facing society today. All I have to say is that picture of Shapiro outside Home Depot holding a single piece of wood he bought in one hand with the receipt proving he bought it in the other in tight jeans and shirt is the most camp photo ever taken. That is very funny. That is very funny. What did he do with that piece of wood? This man has never nailed a piece of wood in his goddamn life. No way. He's got to be doing the square jaw thing, mewing. He's doing some mewing. Just immediately returned it, yeah. Oh. Do you think any of those guys can change a tire? No. No. In fact, I don't think Ben Shapiro drives a car. I think Ben Shapiro is a passenger princess. I think he's just clenching his jaw so much from hating minorities and gay people. That's probably more likely what's happening. His dry doctor wife drives him everywhere and gives him uppies. Yeah, I think so too. The Shapiro wood board thing was hilarious because Home Depot doesn't sell what he was carrying. Oh, it makes it even better. Folks, before we get into any political discourse, I kind of wanted to do a bit of a movie corner. I wanted to do a little bit of a movie corner. Romulus, I haven't seen it. I'm going to try and go probably the upcoming weekend. I finally saw Poor Things. It was great. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't think it was totally for me, but I did really appreciate a lot of things about it. I like the performances. I loved Mark Ruffalo's very silly, very campy performance in Poor Things. Visually, it was really interesting. There was a lot that I liked about it. Have you seen Acolyte? Yeah, I did watch Acolyte, and I liked it. I did like it. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was Andor is the high watermark of Disney Star Wars stuff.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good.
But I enjoyed it. I watched it.
Talk you through all this.
Rob, my cat's breath smells like cat food. What do I do?
Thank you, No Context Gus. Thanks for the 5 months tier 1. I think the reality is, as long as your cat's eating cat food, it's probably what it's gonna smell like. My cat's breath smells like cat food. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe give him or her a little mint leaf or something to gnaw on. And if anyone else does want to support this program, please subscribe if you can. Trying to make the little number go up every day. Trying to hit the good old sub goal each and every day. Also the tips, folks. The tips. Please, if you can, if you enjoy this program, send a tip. If you have $2, $3, $5 or more, whatever, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Tips are super valuable always, but especially right now. So anyone that wants to support this program, please send a tip or subscribe, whatever you want. There are many ways to support this program. Mint is toxic to cats. Okay, do not do that then. Do not do that. I cancel that. Belay that order, okay? Don't do that. It's too late, Rob. I gave some to my cat. Oh, fuck. Oh, Brandon, thanks for the 420. That's the weed
Rob
number.
Russo stole some of my money.
That's the weed number, folks. Thank you, Brandon. 200,000 cats dead in the last 3 minutes. Look, what have I done? What have I done? I'm sorry. I'm not a vet. I love cats, but I'm not an expert. Please don't listen to me. Don't listen to me about anything, honestly. I don't even know what you're doing here now. Don't listen to me about cat medical advice. You should probably just be ignoring 95% of what I say about anything, honestly. If it was up to me. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're here right now, but realistically, what are you doing? You know what I mean? What are you doing? Worse animal abuse than Barron Trump. I saw that, like, what was it, Mr. Weeks? Was it that guy, Mr. Weeks, that was spreading those those stories about Barron Trump because he works in this like high class nanny thing? Who's one of the more psychotic Twitter users who became a big like anti-Bernie guy. So I do take what he says with a grain of salt, but I guess sometimes it's just like you got to lean into the chaos. And when a borderline insane Twitter guy starts going after Barron Trump and accusing him of all kinds of crimes, I'm just going to go ahead and crimes and fucked up behavior. I'm just going to go ahead and believe it, you know, despite me not thinking that person has a ton of credibility about any other issue and seems genuinely like mentally unbalanced and possibly like on some kind of dark money payroll. But if he's going to accuse Barron Trump of all kinds of like psychotic animal cruelty crimes, I choose to believe. I choose to believe that it's true. Anyway, like I just wanted to do a brief little movie corner here because like this weekend I was just looking for something to put on, like it kind of in the background. I wanted to have something on the TV, but I didn't really want to be super engaged in it. I wanted to just like scroll my phone, you know, and have something on in the background. And I ended up putting on this movie, The Siege, which was on Disney Plus, which I had never seen. It's like, oh, this kind of random Denzel Washington terrorism movie. Just throw that on in the background just to kind of see what it's like. And I thought it was very kind of fascinating to watch. I didn't really like the movie. Like, it's well made. It's well made. Denzel he can make anything entertaining because he's always just great in everything that he does. So I wouldn't say that it's not badly made, but yeah, the Islamophobic Denzel Washington movie, it is kind of insane. Like, it's insane on a number of levels because it's about this like FBI guy who's, you know, it's New York City. It's like 1998 and it's all about Islamic terrorists targeting New York City in 1998 and then leading to this situation of like martial law where Bruce Willis is this general that like has martial law in New York City and starts internment camps basically in New York City. And there's a whole like moral quandary that happens. And then Denzel with his associate, this like CIA operative played by Annette Bening, you have to be like, this has gone too far. This is not who we are, kind of thing. And it's fascinating because all the like this is not who we are stuff was instantly proven to be not accurate when just a few years later America was doing all these things, like maybe not in New York City, but
you can
around the
count on
world.
Me. You're gonna have good old Rob
it's
talk you through
post 93, pre 2001.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, Kijiji Genie, what's up? Yeah, Diego, it's got Tony Shalhoub. Tony Shalhoub is in there as well. Let's watch the trailer for The Siege. And again, I didn't really like this movie. I think it's really troubling in many ways, even though it's trying to have some kind of like moral message. But like even before all that happens, there's already it's all real, like already very Islamophobic and fascist propaganda. I mean, it starts off in like the Middle East, and then it transitions to this Muslim community and like the morning prayer and stuff like that, and then it zooms out. It's like, oh, it's in New York City. Oh, and it's like, oh my gosh, like watching it, like Jesus Christ.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sprinkling a little meth over the kibble.
That's a good idea. That's official medical advice for both humans and animals. I agree. Thank you, ButtNerd69 for 16 months. A foreign religion in New York? I know. Let's watch the trailer. Let's watch the trailer to The Siege. Who did, I think it was Edward Zwick that directed this. I had never seen this movie. I really just put it on just to kind of have something going on while I scrolled my phone. Edward Zwick. What did he direct? Did he direct The Fugitive? What else did he do? Credits. I hate how unhelpful IMDb is now. He did Courage Under Fire in 96. He did The Siege. He did The Last Samurai. He did Legends of the Fall. Glory. Oh wow, that's kind of a heavy hitter, even though I haven't seen that. Okay, so Edward Zwick. So let's watch the trailer to Edward Zwick's 1998 Islamic terrorists in New York City film, The Siege, with Denzel Washington. Yeah, I could have just looked at that.
It's Agent Hubbard, FBI. And what I propose is that you let these people go, and I'll take their place. I'm going to take your silence.
Glory is a weird movie now. I actually have not seen it.
Oh.
It sounds like he's a pure Western chauvinist. Well, any you can describe any popular filmmaker, especially that deals with this kind of subject matter, as that, because it's all just empire propaganda, right? It's all empire propaganda, but sometimes I'm interested in watching that just to kind of like analyze it or to develop some kind of critique for it.
Oh, God.
London, Belfast, Beirut. We're not the first city to have to deal with terrorism. This is New York City. We can take it.
And it's so weird, like right before, like 3 years before 9/11.
Dodging people like you.
The situation.
It really makes you. It really makes you question the whole like simulation thing. You know, it's like you make this movie, and then 3 years later, the actual events of this movie transpire, or somewhat different, obviously, but like, almost seems like people were being prepped for a certain situation in some ways. I don't know. What's up with that? It's an interesting question.
They're attacking our way of life. The president wants it stopped, and there's only one way to do that.
Are you saying the president is prepared to take the necessary steps?
The president is actually Bill Clinton, too. It's not like a fake president.
With the invocation of the War Powers Act by the president, I am declaring a state of martial law in this city. We intend to seal off this borough, and we intend to squeeze it.
Do you have any idea what you're starting here?
Wrong.
They're taking away people's civil liberties.
What they really want is for us to herd children in the stadiums like we're doing, and put soldiers on the street and have Americans looking over their shoulders.
The terrorists have won if America starts doing bad things instead of good things. Can you imagine?
We do that, and everything that we have bled and fought and died for is over.
Can you imagine if America started doing bad things? Oh my God. The terrorists would have won.
Don't you ever again question my command, is that clear?
I'm not under your command, General.
Take a look around, tell me if you really think that's true.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like you've got Denzel in there, and he just makes anything kind of watchable, even if it is fascist propaganda. So there's a lot of things that I found just like were interesting about this. Number one, like given like the reality that we're seeing right now in Gaza, like there's all kinds of like Palestine features in like heavily. Like one of the main characters is this like Palestinian Arab studies teacher who they basically snatch off the street, who turns out to be like a CIA informant. And those are the good guys doing that. That's before the bad things start to happen. That's before Bruce Willis descends and people's civil liberties start disappearing. The good guys are snatching up Arab studies professors off the street prior to that happening. Those are the good guys doing that, not these bad guys that are playing fast and loose with people's civil liberties. You know what I mean? Not them. It was the good guys are doing that. There's a whole moment where, like, at the beginning of the movie, where I had to laugh at this line. Because I don't know if I can find it. I don't know if I can find the actual scene. I don't know how many scenes from The Siege there are on YouTube. Willis in The Siege, we're fighting a new kind of war. Bush in September 2001, we're fighting a new kind of war. It's like history, it rhymes. But there's this moment at the beginning, this bus explodes, like there's this terrorist attack, and Denzel is trying to talk the person down, he gets injured, all these people are killed. And it's really funny. It's the good bad guys versus the bad guys, exactly. So Denzel walks into like the briefing room, and he's just like, listen, I just got off the line with like all of our major Arab community leaders. These people are patriots. They love America just as everyone else. They want to see these criminals brought to justice just as much as we do. So let's make that clear, okay? That we don't have a problem with Arabs in this country, the Arab communities. They're Americans. We support that. We agree with that, saying that kind of stuff. And then he's like, but I need people in every single mosque, community center, like street corner, bodega. We need to be surveilling all these people and squeezing them and squeezing all the informants and finding out what's going on. It's like, I couldn't help but laugh. Like this line that it's trying to walk between like, so some of this is okay and morally acceptable and morally correct, but there's this line that gets crossed. And then once you cross that line, then it's bad. And if you stay on the right side of the line, it's okay and it's morally acceptable. But once you cross the line, then it's no good. Then we can't do it. I wonder if I can find that scene. There's this. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Let me just briefly check to see if I can find this scene, because I was really laughing. I don't really think it's there. I don't think I can find it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I described it to you. But I thought that was just like very funny. And then so that's another interesting thing too, because like I said, it's all about these basically like Palestinian terror cells like in New York City, and they even name drop Hamas in it, which I thought was fascinating. Hamas, which is of course no one in here, no one watching supports at all, right? Obviously we don't support these kinds of officially designated terrorist groups, and I know you all agree with me on that. But it's all about these like Palestinian terror cells, and there's this like CIA agent played by Annette Bening, and she talks about like her job, like going after these terrorists. And it's so weird because like there's the talk of like the refugee camps, there's this guy's brother, we know his brother like bombed a movie theater in Tel Aviv. There's a kind of a faint suggestion of the mistreatment of the Palestinian people and the refugee camps and the apartheid in Israel, but that's never really like articulated at all. That's never really articulated at all. Never. And so Annette Bening is like talking about this. She's saying like, oh yeah, I've walked into these camps and it's just the most kind, generous people and they're living these lives of despair. But it's like, but I have to go after the really crazy ones though. The really crazy ones. Like the idea that like terrorism is a natural result of this kind of like mistreatment. It's a natural result of people's material conditions is never really talked about. And there's a faint suggestion of the treatment of Palestinians, but then there's this line that's drawn again where it's like, yes, of course these Palestinians are mistreated, but if you take that past this line where you start carrying out attacks of terrorism, then it's like, whoa, we got to get these guys. And there's no idea of like, maybe Israel should stop doing apartheid. Maybe Israel is contributing to this problem. That, of course, is never really discussed. Israel's a force of nature, Rob. They ended up in those camps the way a hurricane displaces people. Exactly. They just got there one day. Oh, is this the scene? Did you find the scene, Ryalan? It'll be really cool if you did. Yeah, there's Lance Riddick as well. I really laughed at that. Having said that, it's like let's just like get that out there first and foremost. Having said that, every doghouse, hen house, ad house, etc. Yeah, that's great. That's great, and not quite as problematic. ACAB does include Denzel. It's true. I just thought that scene was so incredible, and in this like morality, this morality that this movie is kind of trying to portray, and the different sides of this line, and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. He had a nosebleed because he was in a terrorist bombing. He was like trying to negotiate with this terrorist on this bus, and the bus blew up, and he was like injured. So he's later, and he's still there. He didn't go to the hospital, anything like that. And it's a diverse room of Fed cops. Yeah, and his partner is Tony Shalhoub, who's like Arab, or I don't know what his background is in real life, but he's Arab in this film. And there was one weird line as well. So they snatched this. This is before the martial law happens. Again, it's before the bad military guys do martial law. They snatch up this Palestinian Arab studies professor or teacher, who's also a CIA informant, who Annette Bening is actually sleeping with as well, which is like morally really fucked up and legally very fucked up. She's like sleeping with him. And it's like, Jesus, you know? But at one point, like, Shalhoub is like asking this guy questions, interrogating him, and he pisses him off, and he like hits him. He hits him in the car, and he's like, "I'll never forget what these people did to my village in '75." He's like Lebanese or something, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that? What were Palestinians doing to Lebanese villages in '75?" Okay, he is Lebanese. Okay, I didn't know if he was like, if they were doing some weird kind of like racial stuff, as people sometimes do in these films. So I don't know what that was a reference to. But then of course you have these terrorist attacks continue, and then Bruce Willis descends, and like they martial law, and they're doing internment camps, and then they lived near them and brought the Israelis on their head, is my guess. Yeah, maybe that could be it. The Lebanese civil war. I just thought it was a weird comment. And then at one time he's like, it's a family squabble, because like all Arabs are just like interchangeable, I guess. The PA sort of played a role in the Lebanese civil war. Okay. But they do feel morally conflicted about doing evil, so it's okay. Yeah, and Denzel says, like, don't ever hit a prisoner again, or I'm going to have your badge, or whatever it is. A lot of 90s movies really was a lead up to 9/11 and the Patriot Act. Well, that's what I mean. It kind of feels like the pump is being primed a little bit, you know? Yeah, it was like a vague reference to Arab infighting or whatever. So then, Bruce Willis descends. They declare martial law. They start rounding up people and putting them in these internment camps. And they're already black bagging people off the street. But now you're doing mass internment and torture, and that's not okay, according to Denzel. This is going too far, he says. The protagonist of the film, the one of the good guys, talking about all the different torture methods and exactly what it does to the human nervous system. I mean, I'm not saying anyone is a good guy. My point is that every single person in this room are fascists, and they're like different. They represent different fascist factions in the United States security state. That's why it's bad, you know? That's why it's bad, because it helps the terrorists. That's the reason that it's bad. Look what you made me do. Exactly. It is funny that this predicted the motivations for 9/11 like this. I know, this is why this movie, and again, I wasn't really thinking about anything here. I was just like, it was Saturday night. I was like, I'm going to watch a little film, find something to put on here. I remember the movie, James, but I've never watched it. It seems like kind of a random late 90s movie. I just never got around to watching it. We need to find a more humane torture. Well, that's what I mean. Like, black bagging Arab studies professors off the street, that's okay. It's okay to do that. This is going way too far, though. Why are they tricking us into bombing and torturing them? Exactly. It's just bizarre, isn't it? It's really strange to try and like find this like moral boundary and this moral line about what's acceptable when in the name of national security or defense, and what's not acceptable. And also, like we were saying, yes, they didn't do internment camps in New York City, but like they just did the internment camps elsewhere. Like just a few years later, 5 years later, America was doing all these things that this movie is trying to bend over backwards to suggest is bad and wrong. You know? Mass internment, torture, suspending civil liberties, blatant Islamophobia, scapegoating immigrant groups. Like, this is what America was doing explicitly just a few years later after that. This is all pretty tame compared to some seasons of 24. I mean, 24 is an interesting example as well, which is a show that I think is like very well made and entertaining, but is like deeply fucked up. Extreme fascist propaganda. When is the 9/11 stream? Shout out to the guy that got mad at me and left the community because I didn't talk about 9/11 that time. I wish I could remember that guy's name. Yeah, well, I guess 24 is the alternate side of this coin, because in the siege, the idea of suspending civil liberties in this way, using torture, is just described as like a bridge too far. There's things we can do. There's extremely like fucked up things that we do and can do. But there's this line, and once you cross it, it's bad. And 24's whole thing is just like, sometimes you got to just trust guys to do some really fucked up, repugnant stuff in order to keep us safe. And that's the kind of argument that 24 is making. So eventually they lock up Tony Shalhoub's son in like one of these internment camps, and he freaks out, obviously. And okay, I was kind of to be perfectly honest, I was kind of dozing off, and I missed a bit of the ending. But they do end up murdering the Palestinian guy who is like one of the characters, who is essentially part of one of these cells. But then Bruce Willis gets arrested. He's arrested for his role in like creating this nightmarish system where America is locking up Arab Americans with zero due process and torturing people. Bruce Willis gets led away in handcuffs at the end. That script had to be security state approved, proofread. Of course, any script that has the CIA or any kind of military stuff is being looked at by the Pentagon and approved by the Pentagon for sure. Americans being locked up for crimes against humanity. Apparently it happens only in our wildest fantasies. And like I was saying, even though like Palestinians are a central part of this like story, Israel is barely mentioned at all. Like it's mentioned, like Tel Aviv being hit by terrorist attacks is mentioned like a couple times, but it's barely ever mentioned at all. Empire Files has a whole episode on the influence of the military in Hollywood. Yeah, I mean, when Abby Martin was like on my podcast, that was around the time that the Jack Ryan show came out with Venezuela, where it's like where they did the whole like fan casting, fantasy booking Venezuelan thing. And we're like, if Venezuela gets a nuke, we're not even getting a chance to defend ourselves before we're all dead, that kind of thing. So I was able to speak with Abby about that. Abby, who will eventually be back on the show at some point. A lot of people still think all Palestinians are terrorists, so the Palestine angle works for them. Even Annette Bening says in this movie, she's like, sometimes it's to be Palestinian is like a profession. It's like, it's crazy. Like who's a CIA operative and is one of the protagonists of the film. And who talks in the end of the film, sorry for the spoilers for this movie. I don't know if you want to watch this movie, The Siege, but at the end, she reveals that like she was part of a CIA program working with this guy, Sheikh something or other, with his operatives to topple Saddam in Iraq, teaching these guys how to build bombs. And they brought them into the country afterwards because they were official like CIA informants and operatives, brought them into the country, and these are the people that formed these terror cells in the first place using their CIA training. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar at all? You know? And she's the protagonist of the film. She's one of the protagonists who teams up with Denzel to be like, this is wrong. This is wrong what we're doing here. It's fucking insane. The whole movie was anticipating cleaning up blowback. This is what I'm talking about. Again, I didn't love this movie. It's well made. Denzel is great and everything. But like, I thought it was really just interesting. Like, in light of everything that's happening now, in light of the whole like 9/11 attacks and the war on terror, it's really fascinating that this is a movie from 1998 that really foreshadowed a lot of very real things about the United States and the security state. Is she arrested in the end? She actually gets shot. She gets shot by the... I'm sorry for the spoilers. I'm spoiling this movie if you care. I don't know. I apologize. But she gets shot by the Palestinian guy, and then he's killed as well. And then there's this whole scene where like Bruce Willis is arrested, and an order is restored, and all these like Arab Americans that were unjustly interned are all released. They're all released from their like internment camps, and exactly. Will is simply pardoned by President Gore in several years. Yeah, exactly. And there'll never be army guys in NYC ever again. Denzel saves the day. The trunks go right into the whole military is disbanded. That's right. I like the mixing of the happy patriotic music with the vaguely Arab howling. Yeah, it's like, fuck. So it takes this whole point to like try to make this suggestion that, oh, there's nothing wrong with the Arab American community. You know, they're wholesome, patriotic people and they don't deserve to be treated this way. But like I said, the whole beginning of the movie begins with this shot of like Arabs praying, and it pulls out and be like, oh, it's New York City.
And I'm thankful to be here.
Encouraging people. Thank you. Thank you for the 15 months. I appreciate that, and you're always very encouraging for me, and I like it. I appreciate it. Denzel needed to give a speech where he said, "Army rifles don't belong on American streets." Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say about this movie. I just thought it was like, in light of what is happening right now, and in light of like what the war on terror was like, I just thought it was like a fascinating kind of artifact of late 90s kind of imperialist fascist propaganda, Fourth Reich propaganda. That's how I view a lot of these like movies and TV series, you know? Top Gun 2 and like, you know, that's the most recent example. Any like American movie that's about like the military or the FBI or the CIA or whatever, dealing with terrorism or dealing with these national security threats, it's all Fourth Reich propaganda. And I do find it interesting, even if I find these movies like actively harmful, to think about them and talk about them. How did you stumble upon this film? I think Dakadoon was saying it's like it's on the front page of Disney Plus. Like if you scroll around a little bit, I was just kind of scrolling around for just a random movie that I could put on. Like I said, I just wanted to like lie down and scroll my phone and just like watch something. But I ended up being very fascinated with this. Thanks for bringing up this piece of trash, Rob. Well, I mean, that's some of the best movie corners are talking about pieces of trash and why they're trash. I did legit see it trying to find something to watch over the weekend. Yeah, no, they do seem like that they're pushing it. This may be too gory for Twitch, but this is the CIA's agent's last word. I don't think I'm watching a movie scene with violence is that bad. And again, she was literally sleeping with this like Palestinian guy who is like a CIA informant operative, which is like really problematic. But that's, I guess that's. Oh my god! Oh my goodness! This fucking movie, I just find it like, I don't know. I found it really like. I really found it fascinating to watch and to think about. And I'm glad we could talk about it a little bit. And I guess that's what I mean. It's like she talks about America's role in creating the situation in the first place, right? Of course, Israel is kind of like left out of that. Israel's role in creating the situation is kind of left out of that. But she talks specifically about America's role in creating this, but that's never really like unpacked at all, you know? And at the end, it's like, it's not like they go back to this status quo where that stops happening. They go back to a status quo where we've stopped doing these really bad things, torture and rendition and detainment, internment. And we just go back to the status quo where we're just surveilling and snatching people up and creating informants and training terrorists to do our bidding to topple dictators that we put into power in the first place. You know, they trained these guys to go after Saddam, who was an American asset in the first place. And that's never really like, it's never really talked about in this movie. Like, maybe it's bad to do that. Maybe it's not a good idea for America to be doing that kind of stuff. Putting these dictators in power in the first place, and then arming and training and funding armed extremists to topple the dictators that are no longer under our thumb to the extent that we want them to be. Maybe America should cut that out. Not just the internment camps and the torture and that stuff, but all these actions and activities that are creating this exact situation. Maybe we should think about that. Denzel is typecast as like this operative with priest vibes. It's very strange and peak Bush era. Well, this does feel Bush era, but it's late Clinton era. But like I said, it is hard not to feel like there's this like effort using this kind of like mass media cultural propaganda machine to prime the pump and get people kind of accustomed to these ideas. And all the imagery of like terrorists and like New York's terrorist bombs in New York City and the army in New York City and stuff like that. Like it's kind of eerie, actually. And again, all the things that this movie takes pains to say are like bad and too far were things that America eventually just did anyways. Yeah, and then I invaded and told Saddam to cut it out, and then I executed him. One thing I don't understand is like Bill Clinton in this movie, it's actually literally Bill Clinton in this movie is the president, who apparently approves this idea to institute martial law in New York City. And I'm wondering why then the general that carries out all these plans gets arrested. Like, wasn't that like they literally kind of got him to do that? But again, I was kind of falling asleep. So, and now they just use Marvel. Yeah, well now Marvel's a big part of that propaganda machine, definitely. But it's vast. You know, Marvel's a part of it, but it's everything. It's everything that deals with the American security state. It's all part of this vast propaganda machine, media machine. That's the job of the general. You take the fall. That's right. Yeah. It isn't fascism, it's SHIELD. Yeah, or like in Black Panther when it's actually the CIA. You know, we talked about that last week. We talked about it last week when it's actually the literal CIA versus the anti-colonial radical black activists, revolutionaries. The new Top Gun had like a nameless, faceless enemy, but there were little hints here and there to get people to fill in whatever countries America has beef with. Marvel definitely fits with the fill-in current enemy tactic. I thought in the new Top Gun it was just Iran. Like, even in the first Top Gun, they're kind of cagey about that as well. Is it Libya? Is it the Koreans? But it's basically Iran. And that's a perfect example, though, because Top Gun 2, that's the whole thing. Iran is like, oh, they want to nuke. They're like enriching uranium. We gotta bomb these facilities. We gotta go on this suicide mission to bomb these facilities. And like the whole thing about the Iran deal and how like the Iran deal was put in place to prevent that from happening, and America unilaterally broke that. And Iran has every right to enrich nuclear materials or develop a nuclear weapon. Every right. In fact, it's considering the ways that like that has been a huge deterrent for America in deciding whether to invade or not to invade different countries. It almost seems like a moral necessity for them to do so. the Democratic People's Republic of Libya and Korea. What an unstoppable force that would be. That BS movie dominates internet searches for material on the actual Black Panther Party. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. Anybody remember Iron Eagle 1 and 2? I didn't see those. That's with Louis Gossett Jr., right? I didn't see those ones. It's patently obvious who the aggressors are in both Top Gun movies, and they slap it on thick with the ancient F-14 fighter jets that can only belong to Iran. But in the first movie, people who know his aircraft insignia weren't in doubt. Tom Cruise and the other imperialists were literally fighting the Soviet Union. I mean, that's what I always thought. But then, like, again, there's like Libya. It's never totally articulated. I always thought it was just the Russians, but they never say Russia. They never say the USSR. And listen, I like these movies. That's the fucked up thing. I love Top Gun. I do. But I think it's important to understand whether we're watching The Siege or 24 or Top Gun or whatever it is, or Black Panther or whatever, even if you do enjoy the film, to understand exactly why it's harmful and what it's doing to us and what it's making us think and believe. That's why I like doing these little movie corners where we can have these discussions, and video games as well, of course. All of our culture, all of our whole cultural machine. Rob loves imperialist propaganda. Well, listen, we live in the empire, and that's all we got. Or it's not all, but like we get a lot of it. And you know, America makes good fucking movies. That's the reality. But that doesn't mean that they're good or that they have a good message, or doesn't mean that America is good. I think the point is, though, that you have to start watching these movies and just invert the protagonist and antagonist, and understand that the protagonist in the vast majority of these like American imperialist propaganda films are actually evil Nazis, and that the people that they're fighting are like freedom fighters, you know, revolutionaries. That's the only way you can really do it. Like in Predator, they go into this like mountainous region in Central America. It's never mentioned as well. Probably Nicaragua, probably El Salvador, you know. And they're like bombing this like guerrilla group, and they've got these Russian advisors there, so that makes it okay. But these guerrillas are probably like fucking establishing like literacy programs in the mountains for the poor, impoverished people in the mountainous regions. And Arnold and his crew just go in. They get manipulated by the CIA to go in there and just massacre all of them. They're probably promoting literacy and women's rights and like all these positive things. They blow up their coolers filled with free breakfasts. Yeah, exactly. The director of Maverick said something about the State Department was wanting to stabilize relations with DPRK at the time, so they didn't name them as an enemy. Yeah, I guess the whole like Trump era. One of the only positive things Trump actually did was make this effort to normalize relations with DPRK, and obviously he was self-serving and cynical, but of course everyone was like, all the libs were like, you're supporting this dictator. It's good that we continue to embargo and sanction DPRK and ensure that they can't have food or medicine. Why is Trump wanting to do that? That was their response to that. Exactly this for Predator. And also, what was that American chopper doing inside a sovereign nation's airspace? Exactly. It's a great question. But remember, there was Russian advisors in the village, though, so that makes it okay, everything that they did, the Russian advisors. Anyway, that's The Siege. I don't know. Another movie I just watched. I don't want to spend an hour talking about this because we're already like almost 2 hours into the stream. Another movie I just watched last night was the original De Palma Mission Impossible, and it really holds up. It's also empire propaganda as well, obviously, because it's all about securing the identity of like secret agents in Eastern Europe in the post-Cold War era. The Cold War's over. Why do you still have secret agents operating in Eastern Europe? Well, we don't know. But it's bad to expose their identities to people. But it's so good though. It's such a good movie. It's very enjoyable to watch. Mission Impossible 2 is better than Mission Impossible because of Limp Bizkit. Man, like, I do really enjoy the Mission Impossible franchise. I love John Woo, but I remember watching it and being like, not into it. But I probably only watched it once in 1998 or whatever it was. CIA invades airspace. A freaking alien hunter shoots it down and skins them alive. Comrade Predator. Well, I don't think he shot it down. I think they got shot down by some kind of like surface-to-air missile. But then he does indeed kill them and skin them alive. You'll notice the Predator in that film, who's very like kind of indigenous coded as well, only goes after the American imperialists and the CIA guys. Mission Impossible 3 stinks. Terrible movie. I like Mission Impossible 3. I gotta disagree. Maybe it's not my favorite in the franchise. I don't love J.J. Abrams. It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's fun. I like Mission Impossible 3. But the De Palma one is really good. It is really, really good. And it's less reliant on the big set pieces like it later leans into. And it's more about like the tension and the suspense and that stuff. And really does that well. And De Palma is really interesting for that. There's this scene where Cruise, like after the initial opening of the movie, and I love the whole opening with his team, like the disaster that happens to his team at the beginning of the movie. I love all that shit. And then he shows up to meet this secret agent guy, Kittredge, at this restaurant in Prague. And as soon as things start to go kind of sideways, like and he realizes that he's like the prime suspect in it, De Palma starts shooting it at these weird angles. He's shooting from like down here. When it starts to become like more tense and like disorienting, it's really interesting. He makes a lot of really interesting kind of choices like that. There's some interesting like POV shots. It's really good still. I think it might be still the best in the franchise. Oh. Well, that might be the end of Movie Corner. I watched this movie, The Siege, and I just wanted to talk about it. What I remember was all the betrayals that served zero purpose, but it's fun though. It was fun. I love the Kittredge character line. I want him manning a radar tower in Alaska by midnight. Yeah, and it's got that whole iconic sequence with the dangling and everything. Fantastic. I wish Emilio Estevez had stayed on the MI series in the Simon Pegg role. I mean, yeah, but it's makes it really kind of like shocking that he shows up in the movie and you assume he's going to be a character in the movie. I think the Brutus beefcake to Schwarzenegger's Hogan plays the Russian advisor in Predator, Svenel Thorsen. Okay. Little fun fact. Little fun fact for everybody. Dylan. I love Schwarzenegger in that movie and like pretty much every movie in that era. I think he's so great. I really like the Jamaican crime boss in Predator 2. He was cool. Yeah, like listen, Predator 2 is really good. Like it's not the same level of like iconic as Predator, but Predator 2 is shockingly good. Really good cast. Danny Glover, you know, in the main role. I think the stuff with like the Jamaicans and the Colombian drug gangs are a little bit edges up to the line of good taste, I think. But it's still really good though. It's a really good movie. It's absolutely a worthy sequel. And I don't think they've really made another good Predator movie. Prey was pretty good, but I think that was when I did watch Prey, I think I immediately after watched Predator 2 and I was just shocked by how great it still was. It was another movie that I'd watched a lot when I was pretty young. Probably way younger than I should have been to be watching it. Kittredge actor was also good in the Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan movies. I didn't see those, but those would probably be interesting to look at on this kind of subject as well, right? The French hunters being killed, that was pretty good. The Hunt for Red October is goated. Well, I watched that pretty recently. Well, I mean, not that recently, but probably, I guess, last summer I watched it. And I felt the same way. It's like the good guys are actually the bad guys, and we're supposed to cheer for these like USSR defectors and feel bad when bad things happen to them. And Sam Neill's character is this like Russian lieutenant who's trying to defect, and he gets shot. And he's like, "I will never see Montana," and it's like, you shouldn't see Montana. You've betrayed the revolution. You've betrayed Lenin. You've betrayed the Soviet Union. You should be punished for that. Patriot Games, the bad guys of the IRA. I have seen Ronin, but not for a long time. Not since the 90s, and I probably barely understood it or paid attention to it. In Patriot Games, you're supposed to cheer for the monarchy and against the IRA. There's a lot of anti-IRA movies. There's that Harrison Ford, Brad Pitt movie, The Devil's Own. That's one. There's one with Tommy Lee Jones, and they're all these mad Irish bombers. You know, that's the whole thing. There's a couple of those. And I guess a lot of what happens in these movies, and The Siege is a prime example of this, where it recognizes the role that like imperialism plays in like creating these conditions, but then it says anyone that like takes these conditions and acts as a form of like armed rebellion or terrorism or whatever it is, that's not acceptable. That's not okay. Like, that's a lot of the takeaway from a lot of these movies. Yes, we contribute to all this stuff, but the moment you pick up a gun or a bomb or whatever it is to fight back against this brutal empire, that's no good. We can't have that. We just can't have it. Clear and present danger is said in South America, not asking once what the fuck U.S. assets are doing there. Yeah, well, they're there to fight the spread of socialism. Which is obviously just like, okay. We can't have these like Latin American countries teaching poor people to read and giving people health care and education. We can't have that. We've got to have the CIA down there doing what they do to ensure that that never happens. Also in the book, the submarine captain's primary reason for wanting to defect is communism wouldn't allow me to grieve for my departed wife, and that is just such a perfect image of how brainwashed right-wing Americans are. Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Oh, well, folks, we're 2 hours into the stream here. Listen, if you've enjoyed this movie corner, if you like having these kinds of discussions and this kind of like analysis, if you enjoy this, please support this program if you can. I'm trying to get to the daily sub goal each and every day. Really trying to push that this week. It would be really fantastic to be able to get to the sub goal today and every other day this week. So if you can, folks, please subscribe or gift subs. Also, as I keep saying, the tips are really, really appreciated right now. So if you do like this, if you like this kind of discussion, if you enjoy tuning into this program, please do subscribe or gift subs, whatever it is, or send a tip. The tips are really, really helpful. I can't stress that enough. Really, really trying to, get to that sub goal this week. And try and like continue to climb out of this sort of hole that I dug for myself by taking a bunch of time off this summer. That was I feel good about that movie corner. I feel good about that movie corner discussion. And even though I spoiled the movie, I would recommend watching The Siege, even though I spoiled every major plot point and every theme.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
No grief under communism. No, you're not allowed to grieve your dead wife. You got to get right back out there building socialism. Next day. Forget it. Move on. Jeremiah, thanks for the 31 months of Tier 1. Friend of the show, Yeonmi Park endorsed Trump. I know, I saw that. Maybe people might think that some of the things she has to say are completely full of shit, but they probably won't. As an Arab, please just watch an Egyptian movie with subs instead. Yeah, I probably should be doing that. In Soviet Russia, dead wife grieves you. So does anyone else want to support this program, folks? Just taking a brief moment to do a little shilling here. 2 hours into the stream. It's been fantastic discussion so far, but please, if possible, help me reach my daily sub goal. It's much appreciated. Please subscribe or give subs. If you got a Prime sub kicking around, you can do that totally free of charge if you're an Amazon Prime member. Please help me support this program if you enjoyed seeing this kind of discussion on twitch.tv and you'd like to see more of it.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Comrade Bushy, thanks for the gifted sub as well. Always appreciate all the support from you. Thank you for that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Right now, in the sub leaderboard, we've got Talks to Wall with 20 this month. We got Risk Inverse with 15 and Squatch Drew with 15 as well. So it is up for the taking if you want to get on the board. If you do want to get on the board. I hope you'll bear with me, folks. I got to put in a little work here doing this. I would like to be able to move on to talk. Maybe we could talk about the whole election business happening right now. It's going to take a little time here to try and chill a little bit, try to make the little number go up a little bit more. Maybe see some tips coming in. All of that would be very, very helpful. I've already subscribed myself to the stream twice today. I'm still missing my Pearl badge. I see it, Diego. I see the badge. And I don't know why you got two. Why it did 2 subs. I think that's strange. I see it, though. Probably just Twitch being fucked up as usual. Jeffrey Lebowski. Thank you for the 420. That's the weed number.
The dude abides.
Dude, are you fucking this up? Are you fucking this up? Thank you, Jeffrey Lebowski, for that. I appreciate that. And once again, folks, if you would like to send me a little tip, very, very helpful. There's a link in the chat that you can do it. Please help me support this program. Please help keep this show on the air. 23 subs to go. Should be no problem to get there. But a mere 23 subs to go. Haven't seen so far any batch gifters yet. Would be great to have one of those come through, I gotta tell you. And I hope you don't mind that I'm taking the time to do this kind of shilling. As you know, it's not my favorite part of doing this. It's just a financial necessity. It's the financial reality of doing this show. I can only really do it if I am able to get to the sub goal. So I hope you don't mind. I know it's not everyone's favorite point of the program. But remember, you can get all the emotes. This show, we don't talk about it enough, but this show has some of the very best emotes. Some of the very, very best emotes on all of Twitch, on this entire platform. And you can get all those little emotes, all those tiny little images, those beautiful tiny little images, gang. You can have them all. And you could have them all. My little tiny images. I won't let you down.
You can count on me.
I will talk you through this.
To talk you through all
Kijiji,
this.
thanks for the 420.
Just the tip.
Again, the weed number. My empire of subs. That probably would have been good. Jeremiah, thanks for gifting another sub as well. Thank you, Jeremiah. Very kind of you. My empire of slubs. And now a mere 22 to go to get to the goal. I know it's how close that is. It's so close. I will give you clout. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Edging so close to the goal. That's right. We're just edging close to the goal. Only 22 subs to go. You will let me down. I won't meet the goal. And remember, we're talking about instituting some kind of legal consequences. Okay, Old Dutch, that's too far. That's too far. My empire of squirt, says Old Dutch. Oh my gosh. I will edge you now. I will make you goon. On the Everything app, formerly known as Twitter. Very serious program. So can we get to 15? Can we get to 15 before moving on here? I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can get to 15. Then it's a mere 20 subs away. Should be no problem to get there by the end of the day. Who else gives you this kind of critical discourse? You can't find this anywhere, Risk Inverse. You cannot find this anywhere on Twitch, on this platform, this kind of analysis. Did you see the Mar clips I posted? I can look at those. I saw there were some weird clips of him talking to like little kids. Wasn't there? Weird guy. Let's see the sicko Mar content. Well, before we get to that, I'll ask people one final time. It wasn't talking to the Hawk Tua girl. He was talking to like actual children. He was talking to actual children. It's really weird stuff. Two actual 10-year-olds.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Old Dutch, thank you for the gifted sub and for all the support. Thank you, Old Dutch. I appreciate you. So for one final time, folks, are there any other brave heroes that would like to support this program? My viewers are just dropping this entire segment. All my viewers are just dropping. Movie Corner was a success. Shill Corner, less successful. Significantly less successful Shill Corner. I think another sub would do it. Okay, now they just popped back up. I don't understand this website. I do not understand this website at all. I think one more sub will do it, folks, and we can move on. We can move on to something else. I think one measly more sub would do it.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old
Kijiji,
Rob
thank you
to,
very much.
talk you through all this.
Thank you, Kijiji, for the gifted sub. And thank you, folks, for supporting this program. As always...
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
As always, I really appreciate that people tune into this program and support this show. It's very, very cool. What about this, though? Steve and Kijiji gifted a sub to Steve McQueef. That's an interesting username. Steve McQueef. New community member. I wish America was this united. There's like a section of the Amazon that burned down as a result of creating this video. Looks exactly like Kamala Harris. How does this make you feel, chat? How does these images make you feel? This is real, yes. These images are real. What you're seeing right now on the screen are real images that have been captured here. Baby Trump is pretty hilarious. The best of all possible worlds. This is called crossing the aisle, all right? This is called bipartisanship. I'm mad that Rob made this AI video. I did not make the video. I didn't make it. I think, like, as you followed my trajectory on this kind of stuff, Chad. Like when Midjourney and this kind of stuff started to become widely available, and ChatGPT, I was pretty like impressed with this technology, and I thought it might be useful. I thought there were maybe cool applications for it, but like the people that have really latched onto it have just made me completely like want to have nothing to do with it. I think at one point I might have thought that there was some kind of utility to this, or that it might be some kind of interesting innovation. But it's like, it's really hard to continue to make that case, I think. You know? Rob made the AI video of Trump being shot. Yeah, the totally fake, staged AI video of Trump's attempted assassination. What are you talking about? This is useful. There was a duet that made me cry for real, I hate to admit. Was that the like Chinese thing? That was true. That was really good. But I think for every cool thing that you might see with AI, there's a lot of slop. There's a lot of slop. And if it didn't apparently have this like really terrible environmental consequences, I would probably be like I would have like less strong feelings about it, but there is though, you know? Robbie Martin is big on AI for filmmaking. I'm unconvinced. Yeah, I mean, he made a whole like The Thing movie, didn't he? Using AI. And the costs greatly outweigh the extremely marginal benefits. That does kind of seem to be what it is. I'm working in tech, so I know what's going on with the AI hype. The power demand versus use case of this garbage is completely unacceptable. Big tech companies are deploying incredible amounts of compute power just for summarizing emails at this point. Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, like when this technology kind of emerged, I still think like as someone that was interested in like Star Trek and science fiction and kind of stuff, like when I was younger, just the ability to pull out your phone and be able to have like a back and forth conversation. I think there's something kind of magical and interesting about that. But like, it does seem like just the absolute worst people have latched onto this, and it has this like profound energy cost as well. It's not just electricity, which might be coal, but the water usage for these AI data centers, which has a huge impact on local water sources, even if using green energy. Yeah, and you've seen companies like Google, their emissions have just like gone through the roof. They've had these emissions targets and their emissions have just gone through the roof. He made another one, expanded on it. It sounds kind of tedious, to be honest. Like if you have an idea and want to proof it, sure, but as a finished product, I'm unconvinced that you don't need an team of artists. Yeah, it's certainly like not yet. And it's hard to imagine this technology ever getting, with the energy costs that it has, it's hard to imagine this technology ever getting good enough that you could really make something like that's coherent and that makes sense. You know, I've seen people try to make these kind of like CGI, like AI CGI movies, and it's like the characters look different in every single scene. Like it just doesn't make sense. And just this whole idea that some of these AI evangelists have, and I'm not a full like AI bad person. You know, I've talked about reasons that I think it's kind of neat like before. You know, if you're not an artist, it's kind of interesting to be able to have that kind of capability to generate kind of images. You know, and there's the whole argument about theft and everything like that. I guess one thing that I would say about that is that like the internet has always been about like copyright and like people taking people's ideas, like piracy. Well, I think we all acknowledge that piracy was like good. I guess the difference is piracy is like pirating from like big corporations that are making big films, whereas we're taking deviant artists and stuff like that. So there is a big difference there. It is still good, I agree, especially the way streaming has become less and less efficient and less cost effective. The scene where Patrick Stewart Picard face palms and they tried to make an AI remove the hand and the face was just anyone but Patrick Stewart. If only we could remove this hand and see what Patrick Stewart looks like. There's no way of knowing otherwise. All companies jumping in is a huge tell that it's mostly hype. I guess one thing that I would say is that it's more of a real actual technology than like NFTs or whatever, you know? Like the whole NFT thing was just, that was a scam. Crypto is just a full scam. No actual like utility. This seems to be like an actual technology that might be like, could possibly be useful in some respects, you know? What I don't fully understand is what makes it artificial intelligence and not just an aggregator or compiler of existing things. Well, that's part of the hype, right? That's part of the hype. When you frame it like that, it makes it seem like more of this new kind of technology that's not just doing what you're doing, compiling all a bunch of stuff that already exists. And also, did you see Disney successfully claimed agreeing to pay for Disney Plus means they waive the right to sue Disney for wrongful deaths? I did see that. Now, that's quite draconian, I would say. If you sign up for a free trial of Disney Plus, Disney can just murder your family and it's okay. It's totally okay to do. So even though I think there might be some utility for it, like I've talked about before, like I'm not really an artist. Sometimes I'm with my son. He comes up with all kinds of ideas for characters and stuff. It's kind of neat to be able to like bring those into the reality a little bit, you know? It's kind of innocent. But also this idea that like, because like I'm actually a creative person. I think if you're an actually creative person, there's a way that you can use this technology in a somewhat interesting way. But it seems like 95% of the people that want to use this technology are not creative. They're like anti-creative. They don't understand what it means to be creative. They're like STEM brain people that don't think you should teach art in school or anything like that. And they think they can just type in a prompt and that they can create this machine that just spits out something that they want to see. Like they really want to create this future where you go into Netflix and you're just like, Netflix, give me a story like this. And it just spits out this thing, and that's supposed to be quality or it's supposed to be good. And it's just like, I can't imagine a world where that's ever going to actually happen. And that's ever going to be like coherent or decent in any way. We solved the need for creativity. That's right. Now we can all be like autonomous drones. We don't ever need to like read literature or like learn to draw or learn to paint or like have a creative thought. Now we can just outsource that to machines. We've outsourced the creativity to machines so that we can be better workers. Like how fucked up is that? How much is the exact opposite of what the future is supposed to be? It's literally the exact opposite of what the future is supposed to be. We're supposed to automate our jobs so we have more time to be creative. We have more time to write a poem or a screenplay or a novel or paint a picture or write an article or make a film, a short film, whatever it is, or make an animation. That's what technology is supposed to bring to us. It's supposed to make our lives easier so we have more time to embrace that kind of thing, and the exact opposite is happening. Or goon for 37 hours, or that. Yes. Or that. There is the DNC stuff happening. Like, are we enough sickos to look at that? There's protests outside the DNC. And of course, protests that are going to be demonized by everyone. People, pro-Palestine protesters protesting the DNC, going to be demonized just like with the whole viral I'm speaking clip. Here's one thing I wanted to look at. A friend of the show, Prem Tucker. For 200 days now, this man has been in these press briefings and trying to get answers about the Israeli killing of Hind Rajab and her family and medics sent to save her. Which is I hesitate to say conflict or war because that's not really what it is. Like a war that's primarily on little kids is not a war. A genocide. Which has had like a number of really horrific crimes. The killing of Hind Rajab is like one of the absolute worst. And Prem Tucker has been trying to get answers about this from these like wormy US State Department officials for now 200 days.
هذه زيارة عائلة حمادة التي أطلقت عليها عشرات الرصاصات.
It's been over 2 weeks since Israeli forces attacked Hind Rajab's family, killing her aunt, uncle, and cousin.
And I think one thing to notice about this is how the like the performative empathy as time goes by gets less and less and less. You see early on, when it's this international outcry, there's this performative empathy. There's this like liberal bearing witness to suffering kind of thing happening. And as time goes by, all of that just kind of goes away, and they stop even pretending to care about it.
Leaving her trapped alone in her vehicle, we heard her pleas to the Red Crescent Society. 2 medics were sent, all to be blown up allegedly by Israeli forces. I wanted to ask about the status of the inquiry into this.
So I think that question is appropriately directed to the government of Israel. I will say on behalf of the United States, we have made clear to them that we want that incident to be investigated. They have told us they are investigating it. It's our understanding that investigation is not yet complete. Should direct questions to them about.
Yeah, this guy's enough of a monster that he doesn't even perform the empathy that well. But he's at least saying we demand an explanation. We demand an investigation. Like there's at least that.
Where it stands, but we want to see it completed
we
as soon
simply
as possible. And as I
use
said,
the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Joe, thank you for the 200 bits. We hear you, we see you, we wish you would shut the fuck up about war crimes. But it's pretty much what it is. And if people are curious as to why people are protesting the DNC, protesting Kamala Harris, this is why. Because she's complicit in this.
from this podium several days ago, if accountability is appropriate, we want to see accountability put in place.
Any updates on Hind Rajab's, the investigation in the killing of Hind Rajab's family and the paramedics sent to save her?
I don't have an update. My understanding is that the investigation is ongoing.
So I'm wondering if you have updates on not just the investigations, but actual accountability measures in response to these. And if not, how can this administration's approach of relegating things to months-long investigations while not changing policy, all as thousands more are killed, be a justified approach?
Investigations in some cases take time. You heard me a minute ago say
there's a lot of investigations going on. I guess that's why.
Not at the expense of thoroughness. So we will continue to press for.
See the little glance? Stop asking me about this.
But when warranted, all appropriate accountability measures.
Secondly, it's been 101 days now since Hind Rajab, her family members, medics sent to save her were killed. So first question related to that is
and big shout out to Prem Tucker for doing this.
I don't have anyone. I'm happy to go back and get you the latest.
Okay. Is there an update into this investigation?
Let me get you an answer on that and come back to you.
Is it really
Let's circle back.
Independent investigation if the alleged culprits are the ones conducting the strike?
What I said is we thought it's appropriate for the government of Israel to investigate. They have said to us, and again, as I said, I'm not attesting to any of these facts. I can tell you that we intervened with them. They provide us answers. I'm providing them to you. And what they have said is they went to these agencies and asked for information, and it wasn't forthcoming.
Sure. So on that note, on you said that they said the Red Crescent, the UN hasn't provided answers. Will you move to verify those claims?
It is not for us to do it.
Last month, when myself and other colleagues asked about the investigation,
they're your client state. It is for you to do it.
Israel said that they're still investigating, and that Israel also said that the UN and Red Crescent did not respond to outreach from the Israeli government. I reached out to the Red Crescent, and they said that no, the Israeli government did not reach out. So, has the Biden-Harris administration followed up on this?
The Biden-Harris administration,
alleged lie about the Israeli government, or sought to confirm?
She's culpable. She's complicit in this.
On the half-year-old killing now of this girl and her family?
So we are in touch with our partners in Israel around the clock on a variety of issues. I don't have any specifics to read out as it relates to this conversation. I'm happy to check if there have been any additional updates, but to my understanding, this investigation is still ongoing, and I will leave it to them to speak to the details of it.
So I had reached out to the Israeli government as well, and while I was reaching out to the Red Crescent, they said they would get back to me with an answer, and that they did not. After we reported, the Red Crescent said that
well, it's really, I'm not a spokesperson for the responsiveness of another foreign ministry.
Given that, this government gives them billions of dollars in aid, I imagine that
a lot of weapons
want to be fact-checked.
So we will continue to engage with our partners.
Like when you give a country billions of dollars worth of weapons while they're killing tens of thousands of people, including tens of thousands of little children, and you say, well, it's not our responsibility to investigate a foreign government. It is. Like, it absolutely is. You're the ones that are arming it. Yes, it's your problem. It's absolutely your responsibility to investigate this foreign government. You're giving them the weapons to do it. Yes, it is your responsibility. It's so fucking crazy to me how they keep dodging responsibility for this. Oh, it's just you got to talk to them. Ask the people that are doing it. We have nothing to do with it. You do have something to do with it. You're letting them do it. You're allowing them to do it. It's your problem. Again, like if you go on a personal level, if you go and give somebody a fucking rifle and that person then immediately goes up to the top of a watchtower and starts picking off people on the street, and then the police say to you, hey, you gave that guy that rifle. Like, what's going on with that? And you just say, like, it has nothing to do with me. I had no idea that he was going to do that. You got to just investigate that guy. And he's like, you're a friend. It's not just some random guy. You didn't just sell this rifle to a person in a Walmart parking lot. This is your close friend who has a history of shooting people. It's your close friend that has a history of shooting people. You give them a rifle. They go up onto a watchtower outside of a kindergarten and start killing people. And the police come to you and you say, I'm going to look into it. Let me get back to you. Okay. It's not really up to me to investigate what this other guy's doing. I have nothing to do with that. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. You got to ask him why he was doing it. Don't leave me out of it. I had nothing to do with it. I only gave him the weapons and the bullets to do it. This lifelong friend of mine with a history of violently murdering people. Crazy.
In Israel, we ask them for additional information. We ask questions when
I'm asking him for information, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Continue to do that as it relates to this incident. I'm not aware of.
And
any
you continue
updates.
to hand him ammo,
Investigation is ongoing.
while he's shooting people.
It's now 197 days since Hindu was killed. Her family members were killed. The medics said they were killed. What's the update on that?
I don't have any updates for you. Go ahead.
But you know what I mean about like the performative empathy? I don't have any updates for you. Like, what kind of how do you sleep at night? Seriously, like, serious question. How do you sleep at night? I don't have any updates for you on that. On that little girl that we helped kill. Sorry, I just don't have any updates. Next question. Leave me alone. It's just absolutely crazy to me. How young is this token spokesperson? I don't even know. Like, he seems pretty young. At most 30, yeah. And then people are really surprised when these protests happen. People are really, really surprised when these protests happen at the DNC.
We're marching today. We're gonna march. We're marching today to the site of the DNC.
Some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hello, Majority Report. Hello, thank you for the raid. Very much appreciated. Welcome in, Raiders. I'm Rob. It's nice to see you. Please smash the follow button if you can. Just taking a look at some of these protests outside of the DNC right now, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like really upset about, which is absolutely absurd. But yeah, smash the follow button. Please support this program by following. Get a notification when I go live. I hope the Majority Report stream was good today. Thanks again to Majority Report for the raid and supporting the show. If you do want to, if you feel like it, folks, you can subscribe to the show as well. You can subscribe if you like if you want to join this community. Please subscribe, get all the emotes.
You're gonna have good old
you can also send a tip. All this stuff is very, very helpful. Trying really to fill up the sub goal and maybe get some tips this week and other weeks as well. So, if possible, please do subscribe and support the show.
So some people will talk about us out here and say that our commitment to holding the Democrats accountable for the genocide in Gaza is going to help Trump win. Bullshit. When you enable genocide, embrace genocide, or excuse genocide, you lose support. Simple as. If they want us and all the progressive forces to line up behind them and support them, then they have to earn it. So we have a people's agenda here today demanding money for jobs, schools, healthcare, not a war. And the reason we have to be out here demanding the
and this is the demand, right? Ending the arms transfers and arms embargo. As I've said, if people are like, "What? Why are they protesting Harris? She wants a ceasefire deal." Like, there's no ceasefire deal. There's all this narrative right now about Hamas rejecting a ceasefire deal. There is no ceasefire deal. The ceasefire deal that's being promoted by the United States does not include an actual permanent ceasefire. So there's this thing of like, why are you protesting Kamala Harris? She wants this to stop. She wants the genocide to stop. She wants a ceasefire to happen. No evidence that is actually true. And the demand from these like activist groups is an arms embargo, which would be an actual ceasefire if America stopped sending weapons to Israel. That's the demand. The demand isn't maybe we'll talk about possibly instituting some kind of arms embargo at some point in the future. That's not the demand. The demand is arms embargo, stop sending weapons to Israel, stop sending aid to Israel. And as long as that's going on, Democrats are going to continually be protested.
Here to bring up our next speakers, Munia and Noor, representing the Palestinian...
And people say, why don't you protest the Republicans? Like, well, I think people are going to protest the people that are in power that have been subsidizing this. When Republicans are in power, they're going to be protested too. When they're supporting this, they're going to be protested too. They're protesting this because it's the Biden and Harris administration that has been fully backing and supporting this for the last 10 months straight. That's why they're getting protested. It's not Donald Trump that's doing that, even though I'm sure he would do the same thing.
This is Mona and of the Palestinian Feminist Collective. Are we fired up for Palestine? I can't hear you. Are we fired up for Palestine? Better. Good afternoon, my friends, brothers and sisters in the struggle. For nearly a year now, we have remained steadfast in our rage and grief as we confront the U.S. war machine. We have screamed in agony as we witnessed the brutal slaughter of Palestinian children, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers. We marched, we demanded, we wrote, and we prayed for our people in Palestine only to be met with nothing but empty platitude and contempt from our elected officials. Enough. It has never been clearer that the two-party political system is nothing but a lie perpetuated by the ruling class.
I don't think any of them are actually surprised about the protests. I think they lash out when they get reminded of what they're supporting. There's nothing a liberal hates more than having to drop the Morality Act. Yeah, they all just want to be able to just support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and say Trump bad. And with no criticism and no real like introspection over it. And the moment you remind them that like these people are supporting some of the worst crimes we've ever seen, it upsets them. It upsets them because it causes them to feel a guilt by association, which they've apparently suppressed the ability to feel.
We are here saying loud and clear that we will not be bullied into submission.
Yeah, and they relish dishing out the discipline.
We will not be silenced. We demand better, and we will not stop protesting until our voices are heard. Politicians must earn our vote, yet they have shown time and again that they serve only the Zionist project and their own capitalist interest, waging war.
Oh, and thanks Riskinverse for 4 minutes ago gifting a sub. I don't think I said thank you.
But rest
thanks
assured,
Riskinverse.
my friends, their vicious schemes will not go unchallenged. Our demands are unwavering. No more support for genocide. No more funding for oppression.
Look at these selfish protesters.
Ceasefire now.
Look at these selfish protesters demanding the United States government stops funding a genocide.
Can no longer hide behind a false veil of inclusion. A woman of color ordering the death of innocent children is neither progressive nor ethical. It is the highest of betrayals, an affront to the very essence of humanity. humanity. To Kamala Harris and Joe Biden we say, your party may be blue, but your hands are stained with the red blood of Palestinian mother and children. We recall the black feminist who stood here in Chicago in 1968 demonstrating against the DNC, who knew very well that our feminist struggle was against sexism, racism, and imperialism. The triple jeopardy laid out by revolutionary feminist Frances Bale. We think of
No
our
lies
indigenous
detected.
sisters like Winona LaDuke, who understood that there is no feminism without land back. We are fueled by the mood of our people who continue to raise.
Yeah, Old Dutch. I guess it's a rhetorical debate that's kind of going on about that. You know, the use of like tokenism to describe like the way that like powerful liberal institutions weaponize people's identity to kind of provide themselves with like a moral sort of shield in a way. I think that's like an important conversation. If people have an issue with like the rhetoric and the word choices, like maybe that's one thing, but that's a very real phenomenon that we do need to be able to discuss.
Jumana will not be mentioned in that convention center, but we as the Palestinian Feminist Collective raise our voices for her reproductive rights, for the rights of newborns, and for all families obliterated by the settler colonial regime and America's systematic assault on Palestinian life and dignity. We scream Jumana's name in the same breath as Sonia Massey, who was murdered a month ago in this very state. In this very state. To all the so-called feminists inside the convention, hear this. If your version of feminism has borders, then nobody is safe in your presence. If your version of feminism compels you to silence those protesting a genocide, then nobody is safe in your presence. You struggle to be included in the U.S. imperial war machine. We struggle to destroy it.
Hell yeah.
Let us reclaim our power as feminists and say in one voice that we will not be complicit in injustice. Today and every day until Palestine is free, we will elevate the voices of our people, honor our martyrs, and resist by any means necessary.
Hell yeah. We're not going back to the lies about Israeli self-defense or the two-state solution. I mean, we probably will, frankly, but we should not. I completely agree.
Entire DNC, we are the ones who are speaking.
Hell yeah.
We shout for our martyrs and for our righteous cause. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! From the river to the sea!
I really like how activists and others haven't been like...
will be free!
Haven't been like... They tried to make it unacceptable to say that and no one has gone along with it. And I think that's like... There's something beautiful about that. We're not going to say it as much as you say that it's anti-Semitic or it stands for the genocide of Jewish people.
At the Institute for
We know it's not true, and we're going to continue saying it.
militarized spending in the U.S. federal budget. He was elected to the Democratic Socialists of America's National Political Committee and is
Also kind of concerning, better speech than we'll see the next 4 nights. Also kind of concerning, there's no one really like speaking at the DNC. There's no Bernie, there's not even like a AOC, which seems crazy when they're trying to appeal to like young people and put on this progressive veneer. You can't even have Bernie or someone in the squad or someone speak at the DNC. It's all like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and these fucking ghouls.
Of the human will for liberation all over the world. My
Is
family
AOC
is from
speaking tonight?
Bangladesh, which experienced a genocide over 50 years ago.
If she does,
that
it'll
was
be interesting to
sponsored
see
by
how
the
she
United
walks
States.
this line.
Just this past month, massive protests led by students in Bangladesh forced a dictator to resign and flee the country.
Yeah, I believe
At
Hilldog
their
is
moment
speaking.
of victory, Alongside the flags of Bangladesh
Bill
that
and
the
Hillary
students
both
were waving
speaking.
from the Capitol building and on the streets, they were waving flags of Palestine.
I'm actually looking forward to Hillary's speech because you know she's going to be like clenching her fist so hard that like she's going to be, her palms are going to be bleeding.
Against unjust systems of oppression that become intolerable, and they learn how to organize in every way possible to defeat those systems and build the alternative. We've seen moments like this in the United States, from Occupy Wall Street to Black Lives Matter to Standing Rock, and for the past year that we've been protesting for Palestine, where millions of people wake up to an intolerable injustice and take to the streets because we cannot tolerate it anymore. And every time we rise up, we learn ways to sustain this energy and build stronger organizations that can outlast these moments of movements. The Democratic National Convention that we're here protesting today represents a way of doing things in the United States that allows tens of thousands of people to be murdered with our taxpayer dollars while our communities are defunded here in the United States, while the harm that the United States empire has done for many decades go unrepaired. All of us here are part of building an alternative to that. As socialists, we know that a backbone of strong social movements is organized workers. Nothing is as strong as workers organizing to realize that our self-interest is aligned with oppressed people all over the world, and then using our collective power to demonstrate how powerful that solidarity can be. It's been many decades in the United States since labor unions have stood up against war perpetrated by the United States and for internationalism, but just in the past few months, we've seen 7 major labor unions and counting come out to demand an arms embargo against Israel and to demand an end to aid to Israel, including United Auto Workers, which represents hundreds of thousands of workers all over the country. So many people organized for many years to reform their unions from the inside.
Sorry, I had to take a look at this, like on this subject. This Ryan Grimm as if he's so. This is like the final DNC platform. This is their mention of I guess there's a whole Israel-Palestine portion. Like this is the relevant part. Response to the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel and the next steps to a lasting peace for Israelis and Palestinians. President Biden and Vice President Harris believe a strong, secure, and democratic Israel is vital to the interests of the United States. Yeah, no shit. Their commitment to Israel's security, its qualitative military edge, its right to defend itself. 10 months into this. 10 months into this at the DNC platform. Fucking crazy. And the 2016 Memorandum of Understanding is ironclad. So no arms embargo then. President Biden and Vice President Harris recognize the worth of every innocent life, whether Israeli or Palestinian. You recognize the worth of the innocent lives, but you're going to keep sending the bombs and the guns to take away the innocent lives of one side. President Biden and Vice President Harris have unequivocally denounced Hamas's brutal attack on Israel on October 7th, condemned the gruesome violence, including conflict-related sexual violence, demonstrated by Hamas, and made clear that the United States wants to see Hamas defeated. So we're going to condemn the totally unproven narrative of this conflict-related sexual violence. Let's not have one word, though, about the rampant rape and torture going on in Israeli military facilities right now. There's been all kinds of reporting on this, all kinds of firsthand evidence of it. It's not even a secret. There was just riots in Israel just a week or two ago over their ability to continue sexually assaulting prisoners. So zero mention of that. Zero mention of any of that stuff, which has been going on since long before October 7th, by the way. President Biden traveled to Israel, the first U.S. president to do so at a time of war, in the days after October 7th, I remember very well, to demonstrate that the United States stands with Israel in its quest for peace and security. He's also defended Israel at the UN against one-sided efforts to condemn Israel. The administration worked with congressional leaders to pass a historic aid package, blah, blah, blah. So that's what's in the official DNC platform. And of course it begins with the Democratic National Convention land acknowledgement. Of course they do. Of course they start with the good old land acknowledgement. We wouldn't want to skip that one. Here's the whole platform. I mean, I'll link it if you want to look at the platform. It's here. Having said that, yeah, exactly. That's that. There it is, effusive stoic. There it is. So continuing what we were reading before, the administration worked with congressional leaders to pass a historic aid package worth $14 billion to help Israel defend itself and to provide more than $1 billion for additional humanitarian aid to Gaza, which Israel is not letting through. President Biden has also worked tirelessly, including through the appointment of a senior civilian coordinator for humanitarian relief, to surge and ensure the unimpeded delivery of humanitarian assistance to the Palestinian people. And no word about Israel not allowing that humanitarian assistance to get in, and in fact, not only killing UNRWA officials, but forcing UNRWA to be defunded. UNRWA, the primary institution there that's delivering this aid to people. So getting rid of UNRWA and allowing Israel to assassinate UNRWA employees with their historic aid package, has worked tirelessly until 3 p.m. Then he's pretty tired. He's very sleepy.
You can count on
Jesus
me. You're
Christ,
have a good old
this whole
Rob
fucking
to
thing.
talk you through all this.
What is this? Dr. Maggot, thanks for gifting a sub. Imagine saying the contents of this statement to a Palestinian face to face. I mean, it's genuinely shocking to me after 10 months. After 10 months to still be putting out statements like this at the DNC with the whole uncommitted campaign, with all the youth protests, which are going to kick back up when school starts again. School is just about to start again. We're going to see more student protests in the coming months. And this entire statement is just absolutely pissing in the face of anyone who cares at all about this issue. Did you see the terms of the new ceasefire proposal? Yes, I did. The ceasefire proposal that's not an actual ceasefire? Yeah, I did see that. Which Hamas rejected because they're just violent terrorists who love being bombed. As President Biden has made clear, a ceasefire deal will lead to a more secure Israel and unlock the possibility of greater regional integration and historic normalization with its Arab neighbors. It will allow Israelis to safely return to their homes without fear of being attacked. It will allow Israelis to safely return to their homes without fear of being attacked. Well, we wouldn't want Israelis being removed from their homes and living under fear of attack. We would not want that, that's for sure. A deal will also allow for Arab nations and the international community to help rebuild Gaza in a manner that does not allow Hamas to rearm. And that's the ceasefire deal, unequivocal surrender. Completely, you must give up all right of armed resistance. That's the ceasefire deal. It will allow the United States to work with partners to rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals in Gaza and repair destroyed communities. It would create the conditions for a better future for the Palestinian people, one of self-determination, dignity, security, and freedom, and ultimately a state of their own. A contrast to Trump, who refuses to endorse the political aspirations of the Palestinian people. Can you imagine Trump refusing to endorse the political aspirations of Palestinian people? Not like the Harris-Biden administration or the Harris-Walz administration. They're really fixated on endorsing the political aspirations of the Palestinian people. And this is interesting too. President Biden and Vice President Harris oppose any unilateral steps with either side, including annexation, that undermines prospects for two states. So both sides are responsible in many ways for undermining the prospect of two states. But who's more responsible? Is this really a two sides thing? Do you have to hear both sides here? Who's actually responsible, including annexation? But who's doing the annexing though? Hamas is not annexing anything. There's no annexation going on. There's one side that's doing all the annexation and undermining the prospect for two states. We'll continue to stand against incitement and terror. The administration opposes settlement expansion. And again, no mention of Israel. Israel not mentioned in that. That's something, I guess. We oppose settlement expansion. But what are the consequences? When you oppose settlement expansion, and Israel repeatedly engages in this settlement expansion for literal decades, and you keep giving them everything they want, what good is your opposition? You're opposed to it. Okay, great. You're opposed to settlement expansion. What are you actually doing about Israel, who continues this process of settlement expansion for decades, and they keep getting rewarded for it? It doesn't seem like you do oppose it. You're just sending them more weapons and more aid over and over and over again. So do you oppose it? We oppose settlement expansion. Here's your regularly scheduled arms shipment. Yeah, and we want you to investigate all these war crimes. Here's your regularly scheduled arms shipment. There were like 4 guys who got sanctions put on them. Oh, right. Yes, of course. They're really working hard to enforce some real restrictions here. And here it is. President Biden has spoken out against extremist settler violence. And in February, the president issued an executive order establishing U.S. authority to impose financial sanctions against foreign persons engaged in actions that threaten the peace, security, or stability of the West Bank. So yeah, a few individuals, but like the institutional aspect of that. Zero reference to that. Zero reference to Netanyahu or his government. And all these government ministers that fully support this. We'll go after a few individuals. The administration believes that while Jerusalem is a matter for final status negotiations, it should remain the capital of Israel, an undivided city accessible to people of all faiths. Which, remember, when Trump did that, or moving the embassy to Jerusalem, that was a big no-no. Guess they're not really doing anything about that, though. Anyway, like there's more. I uploaded the platform in there, but like I was saying, school is starting again. Universities are starting up again. There's going to be more protests. There's going to be more student activism happening. And this entire statement is just a total fuck you to the uncommitted campaign, all these students, all these protesters. It's just giving them the fucking finger and spitting in their face. Like that's what it is. Who did they write that for? Who is their audience? Their audience is just like the typical liberal Democrat who watches MSNBC and just votes for the Democrats every 4 years. That's who it's for. And it's it's the people that turn around and glare at the pro-Palestine protesters and they say, "Look, don't you see it's in the platform? They support a ceasefire. They're against settlement expansion. What's wrong with you? Why are you protesting them? They want to do all the things that you want." And it begins with, I pointed that out, Dr. Maggot, it begins with a land acknowledgement. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got bumped from the DNC, Progressive Canuck. Does even that person believe this slop at this point? I don't know. I have to believe that yes, they do, which is incomprehensible to me. Democracy is at stake, damn it. Exactly. Kamala has lost the Canadian vote. This is a huge critical error. Huge critical error. By the way, folks, we're going on 3 hours here. I know we had a bunch of raiders a couple minutes ago. I just want to say if you enjoy this content and this analysis and these conversations, if you like all that stuff and you want to support it, please do subscribe to this show if you can. I'm halfway to the sub goal right now, trying to get to the sub goal each and every day this week if possible. And also another thing you can do if you want to support this program is please send a tip. Those tips are really, really helpful at this time. And I really appreciate everyone that supports this show, either with bits or subs or those tips. So if you do enjoy this program and you like to tune in, if it's your first time here, if you're brought here from the algorithm, whatever it is, if you're a lurker, a regular user, regular chatter, whatever it is, please do support this program. Help me get to the sub goal. Help me earn a small little living from doing this program. It's my main source of income, and I really do appreciate that people support the work that I do on here.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dr. Maggot, thanks for the gifted sub. In fairness, they made clear in 2016 the DNC view the platform as essentially toilet paper to wipe their ass with the moment they issue it. Well, I think when it comes to Israel-Palestine, the stuff in the platform is accurate. When it comes to like a progressive policy agenda, that's the stuff that they wipe their asses with. You know? And we can talk about some of the things in that agenda. They've been talking a little bit about it. There's things to like in there. But the question is, are they going to actually do anything to implement this agenda? Or is it just part of their platform? Raven Payne, hello. Give the streamer money and nobody gets hurt. We're halfway to the sub goal, folks. Are there any other fine folks, fine individuals, and brave heroes that would like to support this program? Every little bit helps, and I sure do appreciate it a lot. And we become friends when you subscribe to this show. We become friends, and it's real. It's a real friendship. I don't believe you what you say because I see what you do. I think that's a pretty tried, tested, and true way of looking at this stuff. The triangle is life-changing. I agree, Dakadude. Totally agree. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Oh my gosh. Hold on, Dr. Maggot. This is such a convoluted process to open up a fucking screenshot that you sent me in the Discord. It's weird seeing me next to that. Hillary Clinton is moments away from delivering her speech at the DNC convention. She shattered the glass ceiling, becoming the first female nominee from a major party. It sounds like a threat. It sounds like a threat, doesn't it? She's moments away from delivering her speech at the DNC convention. We must stop this.
In Palestine, which builds the legacy and the impact of the student movement in
Run.
occupied Turtle Island to help empower, unify, and support student organizers as they push forward demands
Useless,
for
thank you very
Palestine
much.
liberation and
For the 31 months, thank you,
self-determination on their
Useless.
campuses. National SJP supports over 300
Why in the world would you have a
independent
loser like
students,
Hillary speak?
organizations,
I mean, I
including
agree.
SGP
I agree with that. But I do like it because you know that Hillary's absolutely seething about Kamala possibly becoming the first woman president. You know Hillary's like absolutely beside herself with rage about that. And that's something I do appreciate, actually.
Hi, everybody. How are we doing? I'm going to put this here one second. Hello? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rama with National Students for Justice in Palestine. I just wanted to start off by thanking the March on the DNC Coalition, and particularly the U.S. Palestinian Community Network.
Please announce your candidacy. America, you still have a choice.
This march.
She's going to do the Ted Cruz thing. Remember, vote your conscience.
SDS, MSA, JVP, YDSA, and dissenters for their support and involvement in the official student contingent at this march. Raise your
Rylan,
hands.
thank you for a gifted sub.
Which has coordinated and facilitated the congregation of hundreds of students here today. Finally, I want to thank all my fellow students who have worked day in, day out to make Palestine unavoidable on their campuses, especially SGP Chicago, for the work they're doing right here in Chicago. So before I continue, I want to get to know the audience a little. So if you're a student, can you make some noise?
Can someone tell me like
And
when,
if you've supported
if Hillary does speak soon, can someone tell me when? I actually would like to tune into it just on that level, just to see her suffer through that.
And now this should be everybody. If you're tired of the Democratic Party's continuous enabling and supporting genocide against our people in Gaza for the last 11 months, let the DNC hear your rage. I'm
proud to be among you all today, speaking as the voice of the student movement, affirming that students' commitment to Gaza and the liberation of Palestine is as strong as ever. We join you all today, the workers, the elders, youth, and children, to say loudly and clearly to the DNC that those who support and fund the genocide of our people are not welcome in our cities. For decades, students have been actively confronting Zionism and fighting for the liberation of Palestine on their college campuses under the banner of Students for Justice.
Well, might be the first woman president without having won a single primary vote. It's actually kind of impressive.
Central to the struggle, with hundreds of chapters, 200 alone founded after October, organizing under its banner. And since the start of the genocide, students in the U.S. and across the world have risen to join the struggle for liberation and return, and their power has raised the...
Will any of the speakers at the Democrat convention mention the genocide? They won't mention the genocide, but they'll have maybe a few... There will be a few little platitudes about a ceasefire deal and bringing the hostages home. That's their big applause line on that. We want to get this ceasefire deal done and bring the hostages home. That's going to be the applause line.
In Chicago, remembering the DNC back in 1968, also in Chicago. Back then, people were protesting the same thing we're protesting today, which is U.S. imperialism. Both in 1968 and today,
yeah, I'm sure she will be closer to prime time. We'll have to watch it tomorrow.
Of the fight against U.S. imperialism and the U.S. empire and its destruction around the world.
Will any of the speakers still chat to Sub to Rod? I certainly hope so.
As we witness the horrors of the Zionist state's aggression in Gaza, we, the students, have turned our attention to those who are profiting off of the genocide, which is our administrators and universities. In April, we created a crisis through the student intifada that they could no longer ignore, as the student intifada erupted with hundreds of chapters erecting encampments on their campuses. Students across the entire globe, including our very own Northwestern, UChicago, and DePaul students, gave their administrators, they gave their administrators a choice. Either you fully divest from the Zionist entity, or you allow your university's reputation to absolutely shatter. And of course, administrators chose the latter as they brutalized their students using the police force, the very police force that's right here all around us, and academic repression. But guess what? The student intifada lives on. We are returning stronger than ever before as we head into the fall semester. As long as our administrators are going to continue profiting off of the genocide of our people, of the Palestinians, we will continue to confront them just as we're confronting the complicit Democratic Party today. All the genocide supporters must be confronted wherever they go, and we will not stop and we will not rest until ceasefire and ultimate liberation. It is clear that Harris's intention is to continue fueling this genocide, and her very own national security advisor recently stated that she does not support an arms embargo. 11 months and counting of genocide.
Wonder if Shai Davida is still gooning over the president resigning. We haven't heard from him too much. Is he still around?
Is on the hands of our politicians. Until we achieve an arms embargo, an end to the unconditional aid to the Zionist entity, a permanent ceasefire, and a liberated Palestine, we will remain in revolt both on our campuses and in the streets. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for SJP!
Okay, well, I enjoy hearing some of these speakers. I'm gonna link the feed in the chat if people want to continue watching those speeches from the protests outside. What happened to the guy harassing the food truck owner as well? I'm sure he did a bit of sensitivity training and now he's right back where he was before, if I had to guess. That fucking smirking creep. He did get charged and arrested, but I highly doubt he's going to like actually face any kind of serious legal repercussions over that. Characters from Genocide Season 1. Yeah, it's like, remember all these people from like the genocide 6 months ago? Now we got all new characters. Shy Daffy Die, more like Died Goonin guy. Oh boy. We're still on that, aren't we, chat? You absolute freaks. You absolute sick freaks, chat. You never let up with this, do you? You just never let up. Absolutely makes me sick. Makes me sick. The Gooden Platoon. That's what it is. Chat reflects the streamer. I think it's the other way around. I think I have audience capture. I think that's what's going on. I think it's the other way around. You think you're influencing me. Okay, I'm sweet and innocent and wholesome. Everyone knows this about me. You force me to go down these paths. And I think this will be a good clip to end this segment here.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. War, Peace, and the Presidency.
They've got a piece about the protest. Let's take a look at this.
Convention. We're broadcasting
and please
from
subscribe
the
if you can,
studios
folks.
of Can TV here in New York.
Please subscribe to the show if you can.
I'm Amy Goodman,
I appreciate it a lot.
Juan
15 subs to go, almost there.
In 4.5 years since before the pandemic, and then Juan moved to Chicago, where we are right now. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and good to be back. I'm Juan Gonzalez. The Democratic National Convention kicks off today here in Chicago. The 4-day convention. I don't always
agree with her, but Amy's very
Vice
wholesome.
President Kamala Harris
Is not a goon human? Can it not a goon bleed?
We'll be bringing you coverage all week from the suites to the streets.
I think she's just hyped to be hanging out with Juan again.
While Harris has energized
not to
the
hang out with
Democratic
the
Party
DNC.
Following President Biden's decision
she's hyped to be with Juan.
Pull out of the race last month, the issues around the election have not changed. From economic injustice to reproductive rights to U.S. support for Israel's war on Gaza.
I'm just going to get a glass of water, folks.
Thousands of protesters are converging on Chicago to make their voices heard.
I was going to get water, but I've got Coke.
In addition to the protests on the streets, inside the convention, at least 30 pro-Palestinian delegates are representing the uncommitted movement and are advocating an anti-war agenda to push for an end to U.S. arms sales to Israel.
Over the course of the week, there are at least 6 major protests planned. The demonstrations kicked off on Sunday, on the eve of the convention, with the March for Bodies Outside Unjust Laws, which was organized by a coalition of different activist groups to demand action on reproductive rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and for an end to the war on Gaza. The largest group, the Coalition to March on D.C., has planned demonstrations on the first and last days of the convention, with a major protest planned for today.
One is a real one.
Activists sued Chicago earlier this year, saying restrictions over where they can demonstrate violate their constitutional rights. For more, we're joined here in Chicago by Hatem Aboudeya. He's the spokesperson for the Coalition to March on the Democratic National Convention and national chair of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network. He was born here in Chicago as a longtime organizer in the Palestinian community. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us.
Thank you.
If you can start off by talking about what are the plans today?
So the plans today are relatively simple. We're going to start with launch with a press conference at 10 a.m. And then at 12 noon on the dot, hopefully, we will start our program from a stage at Union Park. Historical Union Park, where in 2006, if you remember, the Sensenbrenner bill, the anti-immigrant bill, and an explosion of immigrant rights sentiment in this country. 500,000 people were in Chicago on March 10th of 2006 in that very park. So we're really proud and honored to be there for this protest today.
And could you talk about the difficulty you've had in terms of arranging permits and the negotiations that went back and forth with police in the city?
Yeah, we had a really, really hard time with the law department at the city of Chicago. Very conservative, very reactionary. They did not negotiate in good faith with us. They made some promises that they reneged on. And originally, when they denied 3 of the organizations within the Coalition to March on the DNC, when they denied their permits, they tried to bury us 4 miles away on Columbus Drive. We rejected that, of course, immediately, and we sued in federal court, saying that if we were not within sight and sound of the United Center, the Convention Center, that they would be violating our First Amendment rights. So then my organization, USPCN, filed the 4th permit application. They rejected that as well, but they recognized that they better put us within sight and sound, and they did.
And there was some intercession by the mayor himself on some of this. Could you talk about that?
So listen, I think the mayor from day one has said that he believes in the right of people to protest. He believes in the First Amendment right of everyone to protest. He talked about how he came to City Hall because of the
Dr. Micah, that's how I understand the dynamic
as well. Thank you. That he was a part of. And he also many times talked about the relationship between the Black Liberation Movement and Palestine liberation. So he broke the tie in the city council to pass a ceasefire resolution, the biggest city in the entire country that has done that. So we see that, Brandon Johnson has been an ally to oppressed communities generally, definitely an ally to the Palestinian community in Chicago and beyond, and we're proud to have that relationship.
It's very interesting what he said in a recent interview. This is the mayor of Chicago saying what's happening right now is not only egregious, it's genocidal. We have to acknowledge and name it for what it is.
Thanks
and
for
have
the 3 months, little baby beef.
To exercise our authority. And if you can talk about not only that, but the fact today, and do you think the pressure you have all brought for these protests to be seen and heard has led to another first ever? You have the DNC hosting a panel on Palestinian human rights today at 3 o'clock, which will be probably in the midst of your protest. The leaders and among those who will be speaking will be the heads of the Uncommitted movement and Dr. Tanya Haj-Hassan, which they're still pushing for her to actually address the convention from the stage.
And that's a public panel that's happening in the convention center. I hadn't even heard that. I have to shout out to my colleague. When we were in our press conference yesterday, I got the quote in Mother Jones, and I presented it to the media gaggle there as well. It was a powerful quote from the mayor. Again, an example of how he's really from the movement, and I think it's very, very powerful also that there's a panel in there. I believe that the action outside is what the world will be watching. People are talking about the excitement of Kamala Harris going to the top of the ticket, but I think the excitement today and this week is going to be outside. We've got almost 300 organizations that have joined the Coalition to March on the DNC. Palestine is at the center. After October, the coalition made a shift and recognized that we had to call for a stop to U.S. aid to Israel and a stop to the genocide. But at the same time, of course, we're still addressing all the other issues that we initiated this coalition to do. Reproductive rights, women's rights, workers' rights, LGBTQ rights, the Black Liberation Movement, immigrant rights.
All these struggles are linked.
Issues are going to be addressed. They're going to be addressed from the stage. They're going to be addressed in the posters and in the banners and in the puppets. It's going to be an incredible sight. Diverse children and seniors, people of all different physical abilities, people of all different immigration statuses. And the powerful element of it is the fact that all of those forces and all of those communities are standing up very publicly and very proudly saying free Palestine and U.S. aid to Israel. For that to happen and for the entire world to be watching it is going to be a really, really powerful moment.
And could you talk for those people around the country who are not familiar with the size and the influence of the Palestinian community here in Chicago?
Yeah, we believe that there's approximately 80,000 Palestinians that live in greater Chicago. We think there's about 250,000 Arabs in the entire state. And so, yeah, I believe we're very influential. I believe we did an incredible job of helping to win the ceasefire resolution with our allies, mostly black and Latino city council members, and of course the mayor breaking the tie. And so it is the largest community in the United States. And I think that is obviously significant. The other thing is on Wednesday at 3:30, the Chicago Coalition for Justice in Palestine, of which USPCN is also a member and a leader, will be organizing a protest. That coalition locally has organized over 50 protests since October. And clearly, Chicago is the hub of the Palestinian community in the United States.
I mean, isn't the concentration of Palestinian Americans in Chicago is the largest concentration of Palestinian Americans in the country? It's called Little Palestine.
It is, yeah. And it's the largest community. We believe it's the largest community in the entire world outside of the Arab world.
I wanted to ask you, you've been quoted as saying that Palestine is this generation's Vietnam War. Could you talk about that, the similarities and the limits of that comparison?
Yeah, listen, I think that obviously there are no U.S. boots on the ground except for the advisors and the CIA and the others that are working directly with
it's not the same,
Israelis
obviously,
to repress the Palestinians.
There are some boots.
But it is a U.S.
That's what
war,
Aaron Bushnell
and I think
was
the entire
talking
world
about.
recognizes that. You know, Biden could have turned off that tap of funding.
We're not being
and
drafted to
weapons
fight, exactly.
from day one if he wanted to. If he wanted to stop this genocide, he could have stopped it. He could stop it today. So it is a U.S. war. It's recognized across the world as a U.S. war. And the way that the rest of the world has responded to it reminds me a lot of the way the world responded
a third
to
of the Navy
Vietnam
just hanging
War,
out
saying
nearby.
we have
That's
to
a big
stop
part of it too.
These attacks on the people of Vietnam. The other comparison is that the Vietnamese lost 2 million beautiful souls in that battle to defeat U.S. imperialism and to rid themselves of colonialism.
Unfathomable.
In Algeria, the Algerians lost 1 million to get their independence and to boot the French colonialists out of there. And so we recognize that there have been 40,000 Palestinians who have been killed, maybe 10,000 still under the rubble, 100,000 injured, 2 million displaced. But we look at the history and we think about Vietnam and Algeria and we say we are on the path to liberation. And if it takes 40,000 martyrs, it's hard to say this. It's hard to watch every day, 24/7 on our hands, a genocide in real time. But we know that this will lead to the liberation of Palestine, and the liberation of Palestine will lead to the liberation of all the aircraft carriers in the Arab world. So we are supporting
allowing
our people
Israel to do
in
all the
Palestine.
Iran shenanigans.
We recognize that they are incredibly strong and steadfast in resisting the Israeli occupation and colonization and this brutal genocide, and the rest of the world is with them. They know that. We just have to battle the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, because those are the only people who are not with the Palestinians in this world.
You were also in Milwaukee for the Republican convention. Could you talk about what happened there?
Yeah, I was there, and we get questioned all the time. Well, how come you're not protesting the Republicans? Well, we did protest the Republicans. Well, how come this one is going to be a lot bigger, and why are you putting more resources here? And I said, that's not necessarily the truth. If the Republicans were in
even if it is true, they're the ones that are in charge.
Presidency, then the event of the season would have been Milwaukee and the RNC. But the reality is it's Joe Biden's war.
Pretty easy to understand.
Party's war, and Biden and Harris and Blinken especially, and Jeffries and Schumer and Pelosi and all of them, the top leaders of the Democratic Party are complicit. And that's why we're protesting the DNC, and that's why there's going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands, in the streets this week.
Well, we want to thank you for being with us, Hatem Abudaya. You mentioned Vietnam. We're going to go back to 1968 here in the streets of Chicago. Hatem is spokesperson for the coalition to march on the Democratic National.
That was great stuff. Great segment and really powerful communicator there. Well, chat, it's getting to be about that time. Just about 3.5 hours here. I do have to get going soon. I got to pick up my kid from camp. So I have really appreciated hanging out with you today. and chatting. As always, I enjoy the conversation. I really did enjoy that movie corner. It was fun to talk about The Siege. That was a good time. And one final time, folks. One final plea. 13 subs away from the goal. It is within reach. One brave hero really could come through and get to the stream to the sub goal. We had an amazing incident in the last stream where a truly brave TRRS heroic soldier came through at the very last moment to get to the sub goal. Maybe it's going to happen today. Who knows? Maybe it's going to happen today. There's no rules saying dogs can't gift subs. That is true. Not a lot of dogs that have that financial capacity, though. That is one of the problems. Reviewing 90s propaganda could be a good regular movie corner segment. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I always love doing it. We always end up talking about movies, but I never have like a dedicated time to do it. Like maybe that's something I can work on. And in fact, I have someone in mind that would be great to come on to talk to me in that kind of segment. So maybe that's something I could start doing more regularly. The opportunity for the alpha move is there. Will you capture it or let it slip? That's the question. Emax Money, thanks for the 17 months of Prime. Really appreciate that. All the viewers spent money to go to the DNC instead of TRRS subs. Just unbelievable. I know. Unbelievable. There is a whole other segment on Vietnam then, Gaza now, on Democracy Now to follow that up with, but I just don't think I have the time today. I got to go get going pretty soon. So, chat, once again, if you have enjoyed tuning into this stream today, if you like this content, if you appreciate the work that I do here on twitch.tv, please subscribe if you can. 12 subs away from the goal. It is within reach. It is totally doable. 12 little bitty subs to go. And also, you can also tip. The tips, folks. The tips. Super appreciated. Very, very valuable. If you want to send a tip, if it's $2, $3, $4.20, $5, $4.20 is of course the weed number, or more. Again, I'm not gonna set any hard limits on that. Those are really, really valuable right now. Great stream. I'm sad now. That's the capitalism leaving your body. Exactly. That's exactly right. So do we have any more brave heroes? Any more brave TRRS soldiers want to support this program? It's your last chance. It's your last chance. It's your last opportunity. And what are you going to do later if you didn't take this opportunity to not only help me out, but improve your own life? You know, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you out here.
And have good old Rob to talk.
It's not about me. Duke Vulture, thanks for the gifted sub. It's not about me, please. This is about you. This is about you taking a step that I know is going to drastically improve your life. It's going to decrease your alienation, your isolation. You're going to have a whole community to be a part of. Trying to set up that sweet, sweet 10 banger. Exactly. It's just right there. It's right there for the taking. It is right there for the taking, folks.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Joe, thanks for the gifted sub. Joe, throwing up the alley-oop. Throwing up the alley-oop for a brave hero to come through to get to the goal. It's there. The ball's just hanging in the air. And I'm going to go ahead and raid now. And you know what? You know what? I know that someone's going to slam it home. You got 1 minute left. And I know that someone's going to slam it home. I'm supporting small Turkish streamers now. This is what I've... Elevating smaller platforms and voices. That's what I'm all about on this platform. Anyway, you know what? I'm not even worried about it. I know full well that in the next 45 seconds, some hero is going to come through and support this program and get to the sub goal. I don't even need to stress about it. Can you imagine how goated with the sauce and Riz you would be? Not one or the other, but both. Both the sauce and the Riz. If you donated 10 gift subs right now, I know. But I know it's going to happen, so... I'm not even worried about it. And nor should you be. I think I'll just sit back and just allow that to happen.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Okay. Risk Inverse, thank you so much for 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate all the support. Risk Inverse. And Dr. Maggot as well. Thank you for a gifted sub.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Now it's nothing. Now it's like nothing. I can't even see how close we are to rating because of the hype train. Now you have to end the raid. I can't. I gotta go. But thank you so much again to Risk Inverse and for the 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate the support, Risk Inverse. Goodbye, folks. Goodbye. Have we raided or am I still sitting here? I don't even know. I can't see on my screen. It's covered up with the hype train alert. Are people there or did they raid or what's going on? I genuinely don't know. We're still live, pal. Okay. Still only 4 subs to go. It's barely anything at this point. Jeff saw a money-making opportunity and ended your raid. Did that just end it like arbitrarily or something? I mean, it's only 4 little subs now. Now someone can easily come through and do that. That'd be easy. It'd be no problem for someone to do that. It's like a raid edge. Like, I'm so confused about what's happening right now. Seriously. There doesn't seem to be a way for me to, like... Okay, now I raided. Okay. We raided. Thanks, folks. I gotta go. I appreciate you. Most people raided. You're stuck here now. Most people raided. Goodbye.